processes involved in relation to Justice Tokono. I think it is inappropriate, but let me just indicate that there is nothing procedurally questionable in terms of the processes that Justice Tokono is being taken through, because the Constitution is clear in terms of what the process is, and that process has been followed diligently, and efforts to question that process in the Supreme Court has not been successful. And so I find it inappropriate that before a committee of this nature, the minority leader will be questioning the process. And on the issue of accusation that this government is engaged in double standards, I think that is also not appropriate. The nominees are before you for you to vet their suitability, and to say that this government is engaged in double standards is totally inappropriate. I was on the appointments committee when the two nominees were rejected. And let me indicate clearly that my side of the House advocated for the rejection on the basis that at that time, the anticipated retirement of some judges, which would have created a vacancy, hadn't taken place. And there was no need in anticipation to be appointing replacements. And we also argued, and I do not shy away from that argument, that the then president had had the opportunity to nominate so many members onto the Supreme Court. And even if some judges were retiring, he should give the opportunity for an incoming president, given that we're so close to elections, to also have an opportunity to also nominate people to the Supreme Court. It wasn't clear who will be the incoming president. It could have been an NPP incoming president. It could have also been an NDC incoming president. That basically was the crux of our argument at that time. And so for someone to today be accusing this government of double standards, in my opinion, is inappropriate. And I think that we should not use the nomination of these Supreme Court judges as a the vetting of the nominees as a platform to be engaged in partisan politics. I think that basically that will be my response for now, and I welcome the nominees, and as indicated, we will be vetting them according to the standards set by our Constitution, and I hope that this doesn't become another partisan bickering exercise. Thank you.
You are all welcome. The appointment or nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the nominees may you proceed to administer the oath.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the committee. I am Senyo Jamefe. I come from Agogwalume, a village near Ho. Mr. Chairman, after my basic education, I entered the University of Ghana in 1979 to read law. I graduated with the LLB in 1982 and proceeded to the law school. Graduated after the service, employed and posted to Bolga. In 1988, I joined the public tribunals and was the regional chairman of the Tema Regional Tribunal, as well as WA Regional Tribunal. In 1994, we were integrated into the main system, the Judicial Service. And in 1996, I was posted to the Circuit Tribunal in Koforidua. In the year 2000, I was appointed
Honorable Chair, I'm aware that the Supreme Court has made pronouncement in respect of this issue, and that also a decision has been given as to whether the offense of unnatural carnal knowledge is inconsistent with the Constitution. And I believe that these decisions of the Supreme Court reflect the views of our society with regard to such behavior. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable nominee, one other interesting question.
Don't see how my belonging to an organization or being a member of a religious group should affect my judicial oath in administering justice impartially without fear or favor, because by my judicial oath, I owe allegiance to the law and the Constitution. If the women work hard to qualify for the positions that they are looking for, which, as I indicated, you just don't appoint a woman to a position because you want to attain gender parity. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I don't want to belabor that, but maybe because you are in
where you had your national service.
Attached to the then public tribunals for national service. For a period of years, one had to do national service. And I did it in Tamale, in the northern region. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Upon being requested to submit a tax certificate, I called to an officer, and later on I was given a copy of the tax certificate. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
If you say a human resource department, you're referring to human resource department.
Exactly so.
And the HR referred you to an officer within the HR or different department?
Honorable Chair, directed to call an officer, and the officer told me that he would do everything. And I was given this certificate, which I submitted to the committee.
So this officer, is he a consultant outside of the judiciary, or he is an in-house officer, an employee of the judiciary?
Honorable Chair, I think I've already indicated that the officer was somebody within the judicial service.
Right. My Lord, we are dealing with the law here. Unfortunately, you are a judge. I am probing this because if the officer were to be an independent consultant, a tax advisor to you, the mandate would have been given by you for him to sign those declarations on your behalf and proceed to GRA. But if the person is a judicial service staff, unless you give a written authorization for him to sign on your behalf, it becomes problematic. That is why I want to be very clear and be very specific. Because if you didn't sign the forms, how could he have sent it to GRA for the purpose of obtaining tax certificate on your behalf and in your name?
Honorable Chair.
Honorable, my Lord Justice, we have the chairman of the GRA here. The question that he's asking.
This was the first time that I was ever asked to produce a tax clearance certificate. And because I didn't know what to do, and now since I completed school, been earning salary from the government, I decided to seek the advice of the Human Resource Department. And he told me that an officer in the Accounts Department will work on it. But I cannot remember if before sending whatever they did to obtain this certificate, whether they brought any document for me to sign. I cannot recall it because that week I believe I was sitting. And I was also interviewing some people for promotion to the circuit court. So I can't remember whether before this certificate was brought to me, any other document was brought to me by the officer from the Accounts Department who was working on it. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Would you check with this officer, since you don't remember, and update the committee accordingly? Is that okay?
Honorable Chair, I don't even remember the name of the officer. I can do that.
We can make progress. Honorable nominee, I want us to...
From the provisions that you just read, the Supreme Court uses its discretion based on the facts of the case and the circumstances in arriving at the compensation to be awarded. And I believe that the Supreme Court judges of the experience of the law and experience in education will take all the necessary factors into consideration in deciding whether it is an appropriate case to award compensation or not. What I will want to add is that if the person, assuming that the court acquits the person after he has served part of his sentence or the whole of part and fails to recommend to the Supreme Court, I believe that the person can make an application to the Supreme Court or take an action to seek to claim compensation for the period that was spent in custody. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Now, my Lord, clearly, form of, let me be very clear, an act of parliament or a CI to guide the whole exercise of this discretion would be a better approach. Do I hold you to that opinion?
Honorable Chair, if there are such rules, that would be okay. But in this case, the law is that they will use that discretion. And discretionary powers are governed how a body or any institution uses discretionary powers is in Article 296. And so we have trust in the Supreme Court to use that discretion fairly in deciding whether to award compensation in any particular situation or not. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, now let me pick your thoughts on judicial appointment and executive influence. There is this school of thought that advocates for constitutional amendment to eliminate the present rule in the appointment of justices of the Superior Court. Well,
there are other, cases. So the oral report had, I think, 33 cases. I can tell you on authority that right now we are running over 50 cases.
Way beyond what the committee saw.
Yeah, because every day people are bringing new, there's whistleblowing going on. People are bringing new evidence, complaints, and I can tell you Ghanaians are really, you were right when you said that the oral is the ultimate determinant of what happened in 2020, because Ghanaians are really determined to get accountability. And every day, someone walks into the Attorney General office. Some come with lawyers, others come alone, and they have documents making complaints every day. So the number is actually increasing. Now,
against former government officials?
Yeah, against former government officials. Then
are some of them known elements within the former government themselves, or associates and affiliates of the MPP, or these are neutrals?
Well, some of them are neutrals, but most of them are government officials. And
so a part of the previous
government. Yeah, previous government.
And they themselves are coming forward with information against the government they were part of.
No, you mean the complainants?
Those come forward, yeah.
Oh, no. So far, I have not, I would have to speak with my boss, but I have not personally, no one who is a minister of the previous, government.
Or even a low-level government official.
Oh, yeah, in terms of low-level government officials. Yeah.
They were in the government.
Yeah, appointees, appointees. Some of them have come out to
come forward.
Yeah, come forward.
Former appointees, not ministers, but generally are coming forward with information against their own former government.
Yeah, exactly. They are coming out with information against their own former colleagues. Some are high up. There are other, cases. So the oral report had, I think,
government is broke. The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
All right, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana. Today is the 17th of June, 2025. This is the day the Lord has made, and we're glad indeed, and we're happy to be back again to join the nation's conversation, what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. So we'll start with the newspapers and what they're reporting on their various front pages. So Daily Graphic says that at parliamentary vetting of justices, Jamepa backs Supreme Court in North. Teachers aiding candidates to cheat in BECE, wiring and WAEC. New CSD depository post-trade infrastructure go live. Abolish justices sitting as additional judges. Justice Ejay advocates. The Ghanaian Times. Gunfire rocks Sunyani over renewed chieftaincy conflict. In Zema East, MUSEC arrests 20 illegal miners. Ghana urges Israel, Iran to exercise maximum restraint, prioritize dialogue. FNB receives $35 million capital injection to accelerate growth, lending capacity. Supreme Court nominee justifies establishment of public tribunals. Daily Guide. Oforiatta surgery successful. Ex-minister endorses Kennedy Japan's MPP flag bearer bid. Judiciary not financially independent. Supreme Court nominee. Ghana under U.S. scrutiny for proposed travel ban. Government adds 25 private schools to free SHS. The Insight. Appeal Court orders NHC to re-enter Boni Adama Lache II in a register as Gamanche. Probe missing 3,000 street lights under ex-MCE. Crow Assembly members petition local government minister. Galamsey horror. Abomosu SHS and STEM students grapple with vision impairment due to polluted waters. Wasa Amenfi East MCE vows to engage miners to reclaim degraded lands. Public want land not for sale. Court confirms ownership to Edikusi and Nkoma. SMG declares solidarity with the Sharawi Arab Democratic Republic as Ghana's support for Morocco's autonomy plan undermines Western Sahara's push for sovereignty. The Herald. Ex-minister ready to fight 548 million cedis NSS ghost names fraud case. Asante Secretariat, Kumasi Lands Commissioner accused of land fraud. Wuntumi's Exim Bank loan drama deepens. Ghana faces expanded U.S. travel ban despite cooperation. Dumso levy postponed due to global oil price surge. And there's one to mix Exim Bank loan drama deepens. The Daily Searchlight. Vivo Energy MD encourages customers to reduce plastic use. 2-term limits is enough. Jamepe, Supreme Court nominee, that's what it should read, supports presidential term limits, upholds constitutional provision. There's public notice, land not for sale, court confirms owners, trespassers and fraudsters will be prosecuted. Minority NPP cautions Supreme Court nominees guard our laws, not executive convenience. Ex-minister endorses Kenya Japan, gives property to Power Party mobilization. And the B&FT. Chamber of Mines expects modest gold output rise. B&FT, CSD partner to build investment-minded population. And as collateral registry fuels 31% annual growth in secured lending as registry marks 15 years. CSD successfully goes live with new depository, post-trade infrastructure. Big push could propel industrial growth beyond 3.4%. First National Bank receives $35 million capital injection. Exchange rate gains and consumer relief, quantifying CD pass-through in the retail market. All right, so these are the front pages of the various newspapers we've received this morning. Please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana. Don't go anywhere, please.
My friends, my name is Kelkit Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
Unemu bua unkohwe Dr. Ban wo ye den wa.
Oh, me say yamfa nko ma me buru wa.
Ma mi buru. Ko ni atele be ko bra. Mo mi yamfa nko Dr. Ban ho. Dr. Ban o ya de. Bra, se ba no mpemu adwuma sasabro sro Dr. Ban o ye.
So ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh no mpemu nim di ono na ye expert nya zanfo no. O akra eni kumasi no mpemu expert yen kan kire.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, some more.
Me didn't Ntim. Mr. Femi Kakalika, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Femi once now. Hey, is that you? Improve, yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action. Me did Sasso spray. Mr. Femi Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
Tum preko. Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfukro in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel. Made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed, all in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
Welcome to Rehoboth Palm Ayumensa Gated Community. Nestled between the vibrant city of Accra and the breathtaking Ebri Mountains lies a serene gated community. Here, you'll find litigation-free, fully serviced demarcated plots to build your dream house in a gated community surrounded by lush greenery and the calming beauty of nature. Perfect canvas for your dream home you want to build. With well-tarred roads, a reliable drainage system, electricity and water, fully serviced plots are ready for your vision. Enjoy exclusive amenities like a swimming pool, tennis and basketball courts, all within the comfort of your community. Start your mornings with peaceful walks or energizing jogs under the shade of palm trees and stunning views of the Peduase Ebri Mountains and city skyline. Starting from 450,000 Ghana cedis and a flexible payment plan, visit www.reabothpropertiesgh.com to make inquiries. Call or WhatsApp us on 020-682-3524, 055-375-1933, or 024-476-4499. Rehoboth Properties, quality housing for all.
Members, I don't need to talk to you about the powers of the Speaker. They are clearly stated in the law. If you read the Parliament Act 1965 and the standing orders of the House, they are actually colossal. And if fully applied, could be of serious danger to the career progression of members of Parliament. But I will just say this, that Shakespeare taught all of us that even a dog is obeyed in office. When we sit here, we are not saints, we are not infallible, but there's good reason why we are called right honorable, and you are called only honorable. The Speaker, however the situation, is always right on the floor. When it's wrong, the law has given you the opportunity as to how to come back to the same floor to prove that he was wrong. So please, I repeat, even a dog is obeyed in office. Members, I don't need to talk to you about the powers of the Speaker. They are clearly stated in the law. If you read the Parliament Act 1965 and the standing orders of the House, they are actually colossal. And if fully applied, could be of serious danger to the career progression of members of Parliament. But I will just say this, that Shakespeare taught all of us that even a dog is obeyed in office.
All right. Don't you love the Speaker of Parliament, the Honorable Alban Sumana Bagbin? He's a big man, isn't he? Anyway, so you're live on Good Morning Ghana from Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. So joining us this morning for, as always, what promises to be a very interesting conversation, a fantastic conversation, is the Member of Parliament for the Efia constituency. He's also a private legal practitioner. I'm talking about the Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako. He's one of our guests this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana. It's always a pleasure.
Good morning,
to have you
Maru.
join us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And also, Dr. Thomas Winsum Anaba is also the Honorable Member of Parliament for the people of Garu He's also here. He's a medical doctor and a member of the Health Committee of Parliament. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning to you, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners.
Yeah. How are your people? How's the family? How's everybody?
Everybody is doing very well.
Honorable, how are your people, your constituents, family, everybody?
We're fine, but we had one of our major rainfall over the weekend in the western region, particularly Takoradi and Nifia. Very, very torrential rainfall on Saturday and Sunday. And I think that was a major warning to us as a people in terms of our preparedness to go through such rainy season. We had always anticipated such rains, and so I had put in place mechanisms to minimize the effects of it by engaging the regional minister, as well as when the MCE was approved, to take steps particularly to desilt our gutters and drains, and also ensure that we educate the people on the hazards of these rains. And so, though it was very devastating, we were able to avoid casualties in terms of life, but a lot of property were destroyed. We still have issues around unapproved or unauthorized buildings being constructed on waterways. We have issues around, even after desilting, taking away the rubbish out of the spaces. And we also still have challenges with people throwing garbage and rubbish onto the streets and the waters. And so it's been a very trying moment. I was on the ground from Saturday and Sunday. And even when it comes to the construction of our drains as well as our culverts, when you wonder what goes into our mind, a traditional culvert that opens up at 3, you do a construction in 2024, and then you provide for 1.2. And so when you have volume of water coming, they don't have enough culverts to go through. And so I'm engaging the Municipal Assembly once again to look at how best we can fashion out some structural renovations before things get out of hand. So that was what happened over the weekend in Takoradi.
How active is NADMO in your constituency?
Even the main ministries have not received funding. How much more NADMO? And so seriously, NADMO at the local level was 0. I spoke to the NADMO coordinator, no relief items. So I had to find accommodation for some of the people who couldn't just. I had to find hotel accommodation for some couples and children. I needed to hire pumping machines to pump water out of people's residence and homes. I had to provide food relief items for some displaced mothers, and so on and so forth. Now I'm looking for cement because some walls have been broken down by the rains, and you need to quickly get all of these fixed. So these are some of the difficulties. You sit as an MP, yours is to make sure that you bring these issues up, but the government, the state, will have the mandate to provide these relief items. As we speak now, 0 provision in terms of relief support to NADMO. Unless maybe Doc in his constituency, he has received some.
Unfortunately, we are having crisis because the purse of the government has virtually been emptied before we took over. I know NADMO should rush to the aid of anybody or any group of people who have suffered any natural disaster. Unlike the people of Western region who are suffering from torrential rains, we are suffering from drought in Garu. And even the whole of Boku, Garu, Binduri, Zebila, we are suffering from drought and very strong winds that is peeling off roofs from schools, houses, and then the rest. We're all looking at NADMO to support. But let's all understand, yes, budget has been read, money is being found to support all these things. But let's also know that what should have been there to help the country was misused, misapplied, and we are seeing what is happening from the Attorney General's presentation. You could see how much just some few group of people have done to this country. All these resources could have helped. That is just a single institution. Look at the amount that went into it. all the looting that took place. If we are going to blame the government today that NATMO has nothing, let's ask what did they leave in the coffers for the government who has come? Definitely the answer is that they depleted everything, even went as far as going to pensioners to pick their money and then the rest. So I know definitely that we are resetting. And once we are resetting, NATMO would get the needed resources. Once people start paying taxes and then the rest, it goes to the government. We've seen how government has decided to lean the executive completely to make sure that we keep the resources available. Thankfully, our hospitals, when you go now, they are paying them and they are getting medicines and things for the hospitals. Our schools are getting feeding being done to them. They are getting food to feed the children and then the rest. Senior high school, there is not going to be shortage of food again and then the rest. So it means that the money is going into where is very, very important. Though flood victims and torrential rains, natural disaster victims need some support, we are doing something. We are not just sitting aloof. The government is not sitting aloof. He's doing something. Definitely, we have to resource NATMO to have a stock for any emergency. So he shouldn't be worried. I think very soon he may be feeling it. Once money drops into NATMO's coffers, he will be enjoying the relief packages that he's thinking of.
Just a quick one. It's early morning, so I don't want us to go into politicking. But the point is that every year,
Doc has started really.
He's gone. He's cruised. Doc, just a moment. This is a new fiscal year. Every year, resources that are given to government institutions are retired by the end of the year. That is why appropriation is made and budget is approved for institutions. So the conversation that a past government left zero here and there doesn't even apply, because there is no money that is left in any institution's coffers over one fiscal year without going back to Parliament for approval of budgetary consideration before institutions work. In 2025, appropriation has been made January to March before the government came in. When government came in, resources were available. Continuous as a government, we have either Ghana Revenue Authority realizing revenue for government and so on and so forth. Back in March, the government read its own budget for the year. And so there's resource allocation. It is up to central government to make the money available. We were in this parliament just 2 weeks ago when the Minister of Finance came and loud to us, so nobody misconstrue, made mention that they have sent almost 900 million to the various district assemblies, each assembly going to get not less than 3 million cedis. According to him, by the next week, the money would have hit the accounts of the assemblies. Have you received 3 million in your assembly?
I'm not in the assembly.
I'm coming from
they have not called me. They've not, I've not called them to ask.
You are next official, and please, if you can, you should be able to find out if money is already there, so that these issues that you are talking about, the weights and the rest, these are some of the things that we expect the assembly to use the money that has been made available to them. So let's not create impressions on this table that money that is meant for the development of this country has been misapplied by past government, and so that is why we don't have money to do A, B, and C. NADMO is a state institution. We already know that NADMO requires resources to work, and those resources have to be decentralized. We are all aware of these oncoming rains, and that is why I say that we need to plan before we fail. So if by now, per our calendar, we expect rains to be coming from June, July, you should make NADMO resourced. You know where the rains come from. You should send resources to those regions. You talked about those droughts. All of these are things we know per our calendar. So you make the resource up. Why should MP be here talking about roofing sheets? I also have to do roofing sheets because some of our communities would have lost it. But central government has that mandate. NADMO, the national security, are supposed to make these resources available. If they are inadequate, then we can come in and look for other support for it. So that is how I want us. And please let's have a very, very, very non-too partisan conversation. Because if we go there, we will all be opening certain boxes that will not be too helpful for our conversation.
I'm very grateful. We shouldn't go political. You went a little in the political tangent. That is why I tried to respond in that way. Other than that, I don't like to play pure politics when I'm talking. But if you go politically, we'll also respond in a way. For sure, the minister promised that the money will be hitting coffers. Have you asked NADMO, written to NADMO in your community, asking them whether they have resources? Perhaps, if I ask you right now, perhaps you and NADMO said, you don't. I
went with the NADMO coordinator.
And he said, correct. What did he tell you?
And that's I'm telling you for a fact that they have not received any support as at now.
They never gave you anything at all. The assembly didn't do anything at all. It's only you who did something. I can't trust that. That assembly just washed their hands.
No, I'm not saying assembly. So, hold on. Doc, please let's get the clarification, the conversation right.
Yeah.
I said the rains came over the weekend. That was Saturday and Sunday. And I went on the rounds Saturday and Sunday. I did the rounds with the NADMO coordinator.
Yeah.
And as a member of the assembly, I know that NADMO have not received relief items over the period as at now.
Right.
But definitely the MCE and other government officials would have also taken steps on Monday to Tuesday going forward to see how best they can make support. Today is Tuesday. So I've not said the assembly will do nothing. But I'm only saying that the support that you require central government to make available in the case of some of these eventualities, it has not come down. Right. So we as people's representatives should put that pressure on central government to release so that we can have our people working. Else, the assembly, whether you like it or not, should also be looking for other sources of funding. And that is what has tied the hands of our municipal assemblies. Because they should also be carrying as we are.
Doc agrees with you.
I agree with you.
Yeah, Doc agrees.
I'm only saying that today is Tuesday. It happens Saturday, Sunday. Today is Tuesday.
Yes.
Wait to see the reaction from Central. Even if they have materials at their central warehouse in Accra, no, they have to transport it there. Just like they are transporting to other places. And I know of other places that have received support from Central NADMO.
Okay.
It's not that things are done step by step. Once you have a challenge and you call them, they will definitely also send resources to your community to help you. And we'll call on NADMO to listen to your plea and help your community, just like mine. We want to roof the schools. We're also calling for them to help us roof the schools that were devastated by the storms.
So what occasioned this conversation had to do with the question I posed. And the question that I posed was how your constituents were doing. First of all, I asked about your family and said everybody was fine, constituents are doing well, except the rains that came down and its attendant flooding consequences and so on. But how's your party doing? Understand that your national chairman is not feeling well. And so he's actually written a letter. And in that letter, he's asking, in fact, the family, it was a letter which was authored by a family, but the family of Honorable Stephen Ntim. And the family is asking that he takes time off any political party activity, which includes chairing party meetings and so on. What information do you have? What exactly is wrong with your national chairman?
Thank you very much, Maureen, and a very good morning once again to our cherished viewers and the good people of Effiang constituency whom I represent in the Western region. The national chairman, the last time I saw him, I believe was a funeral we attended in Koforidua.
That's this year?
This year, just barely a month and a half ago. He looked okay. I had personal interaction with him. And so when yesterday, or I think 3 days ago, I was in a meeting when I got the hint that there are discussions around the current health of our national chairman. And so certain representations are being made to find a means for him to stay off for a while to treat himself so the party can have its full concentration around this time to run its own affairs. So that was us at the last meeting I was in, and I got this signal. So I was really, really worried yesterday when I also saw the letter written by the family. That established the fact that our chairman was unwell, and so he needed a break for the family to take care of him. More, that is the right way to go, because the first thing we all have is life. And so if there is anything wrong, whether severe or what have you, it is important that your health is taken seriously. The family has a right to make representation to secure the health of their members. And so as a party that we have received such communication, I believe that the leadership of the party would also take cognizance of it. I know the National Council and then the National Executive Committee would be having a meeting today. And once this has come to the public's attention, I'm sure they would incorporate all of them. The National Council will make a determination. The party is governed by a constitution, and the constitution clearly stipulates what should happen in the absence of a chairman. This is not a resignation letter. The chairman has not written to resign as a chairman of the party. It's only a notice to the party that he is unwell. Even as workers or as employees, we all fall sick and we take days off. You write officially to, in Parliament, you write to the Speaker asking for permission or what have you. If doctors give you days off, you tender in your leave, your medical leave, and you are given time to go and recuperate and come back. And so I am praying, my prayers are with the chairman and the family. As I said, the last time I saw him, he was healthy. I don't think the condition is anything bad to warrant anything. It's just a matter of the workload of the party is strong, is much. If you look at the way we're taking decisions around reorganizing the party, we're planning for our Congress, and so on and so forth. So you need a strong chairman present to steer the affairs. And so if his ability to attend meetings and chair over a long period of time will become a problem, I think it is fair that he's excused, and then we trigger the needed constitutional provisions for someone to chair in his absence, and then the party moves on from there. But on my behalf and on behalf of my constituents and that of the party, we wish our chairman well. We wish him speedy recovery. I know that he will bounce back strong and healthy, as I have known Chairman Ntim over the years, and the MPP will soldier on and deliver on the mandate that we have.
Except that the family seems to have a bit of an issue with today's meeting. It's supposed to happen at Alisa Hotel.
That's correct.
Yeah. So maybe let me read the letter which was issued by the family, and then we can put everything in its proper context. And fortunately, we have a medical doctor here who would help us understand what kinds of, whether the medical condition that the family is talking about, it's sufficient grounds for the party, for the chairman to say he's incapacitated, strictly speaking, or that kind of thing. So here's the thing. It says, and you notice we've been scrolling it on your screens. And it's from it says Ntim family of Wamfie. I hope I got it correctly. Yeah. Wamfie and Nsota, PO Box 12, Wamfie, chairman of the Council of Elders, the New Patriotic Party, Asylum Down, Accra, 16th June 2025. And it goes ahead to say, dear sir, temporal break. Should have been temporary rather than temporal, but it's understandable. Maybe it's just an oversight. Anyway.
That's correct.
So temporal break from duty as national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, NPP. Now, with the family members of Mr. Stephen Ayensu, or Ayesu, apparently it's Ayesu.
It's Ayesu. It's never Ayensu. It is Ayesu.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, we're all guilty then. We're so sorry. We always said Ayensu.
No, Ayesu.
Anyway, so Mr. Stephen Ayesu Ntim, national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, bring you warm greetings. To begin with, we can all attest to Mr. Stephen Ntim's lifetime commitment and dedication to the New Patriotic Party for decades, rising through the ranks from first national deputy chairman to his distinguished service as the current national chairman, as demonstrated by his genteel but very assertive leadership style, his enthusiasm to his job, and his sheer love for this great party. At this juncture, we, the family members of Mr. Stephen Ntim, have learned that the party has convened a meeting scheduled to be chaired by Mr. Ntim, and we would like our beloved son, brother, nephew, and relative, Stephen Ntim, to be excused from attendance of his event due to recent developments on his health as well, being the beginning from today, 16 June 2025. Although not official, it is well known that Mr. Ntim is not well at the moment and his condition requires time off from active professional activities in the interest of medical attention and monitoring for the time being. Therefore, in compliance with his professional medical advice and in cognizance of his demanding office, we the family members do hereby request that Mr. Ntim be temporarily excused, not only from active office duty, but also from outright party politics until further notice. Now, it continues to say, okay, right. Yes, so let me do this. All right, so I'm still reading the letter. Sorry about that. Now, this is the resolution from the recent extended family meeting. Common sense dictates that Steve, as a matter of urgency, be temporarily excused, not only from the rigors of active politics, but from intra-party activities in order to make way for needed peace and solace and for concentration on the ongoing required medical treatment process. The family learned of a circular from the party headquarters signed by its general secretary about a convened party meeting to be held at Alisa Hotel on June 17, 2025. We are concerned, deeply saddened, and object to the fact that Steve is scheduled to chair the event, although it is known to the party rank and file, he is indisposed and incapacitated to be in attendance, let alone chairing the function. As with any human, even merely participating in such events will not augur well for Steve due to his current cognitive dissonance. Doc, you heard that. Cognitive dissonance and mental incapacitation for such a high-profile event at a time like this, not to even factor in chairing it, and we, the family members, reject this wrong move in the subtly backdrop of his personal human rights. We, the family members of Stephen Ntim, trust the MPP party hierarchy and stakeholders to accordingly do the right thing and excuse Mr. Ntim from being a part of the impending meeting and in events of the near future, while his future plans, decisions, and considerations are under review and consultation. We thank everyone concerned. Signed, jointly signed, representative of the Ntim family, Kinsley Oteng, family head, and the number is there, Roland Ntim, brother. There's Honorable Adelaide Ntim, who's MP and also a sister, and also Lydia Ntim, sister, Kenneth Ntim, son, Patrick Asamoah, brother, and their contact numbers are there for clarification and confirmation. Doc, you heard the medical reasons that have been given why he can't, why he's indisposed. There are people already calling for him to have rather resigned instead of saying that, well, I'm not well, I can't actively participate in party activities and so on. What do you make of this? Based on everything you've heard the family say is wrong with him, is he even in the position to have authored a resignation letter? You've been a doctor.
Thank you very much. Good morning to your cherished viewers once again. I think this is not good news for the NPP because it's a very high-profile figure in the party, the national chairman. With what we are hearing, I think politics has become in a way that people have to reveal their illness or their sickness to the general public. That is the demand we make in Ghana here from politicians. It can be done voluntarily. I don't know whether he actually asked them, gave them the permission to do that. That is one other question. But
is he in the position to give
that is
them
why
the
I'm
permission
coming there. From the ethical point of view, perhaps with what they have explained, I don't think he gave them the authorization to author this and describe and list the ailment that he's suffering from. It means that the family did this on his behalf. And that is also right because they are his family members and they are the guardians for Mr. Ntim right now. And they can stand on his behalf, to act on his behalf. So perhaps though he might have not given them explicit authority to do it, they have done it on his behalf because they are taking good care of him. What I would say is that first and foremost is that I wish him a speedy recovery from his ailment so that he can come back and join. But I see it very difficult because cognitive dysfunction is about your inability to coordinate ideas and make sound judgment. And looking at his age, the stress that politicians go in Ghana, and then the rest, when elderly persons start getting these disorders, it becomes somehow permanent and progressive and deteriorating.
Whoa.
Because it means that certain parts of the brain are not well nourished. They start dying gradually. We call it lagunas infarction, meaning that some points get infected. There's no blood going there, so some of the cells start perishing slowly. In that way, he may not come back completely and be able to withstand social interactions and involve himself very well unless he gets very extreme medical support to improve blood circulation to the brain, nourish the brain cells very well. Because as at now, he is not a very young person to have new cells that can take up the role of others who die. He's an elderly person. So I wish that they'll find a way of helping him recover his state and be stable. But I would also encourage that they recuse him actually from getting stressed up, because stress is one of the main factors that can cause cognitive dysfunction. And a leader of a party, a national chairman for that matter, does not hold a small position. He needs to be multitasking. He needs to be focused. He needs to have endurance and need to have mental elasticity to absorb all the challenges that would come, because he is heading the party. What I'll say is the party should accept the letter and allow him to recuse himself, but they should rather look at how they can find the right treatment for him to recover what he has or remain there and not get worse so fast. Because these cognitive disorders in elderly people, they worsen with time if you don't get the right treatment. So to me, it's sad that he's been exposed that he has cognitive. I wouldn't do this to him. I wouldn't put my father, my father has a sickness. I wouldn't put it in the public domain. This should have been kept so privately within the party leadership to understand that and not bring it out, because a lay person would just think that he's, I'm not like, excuse me, he's getting mad. It's not good. Because once you cannot coordinate your ideas and speak to yourself and make sound judgment, it's not good. So to me, Ntim should really, if he recovers or if the family wants, take him away for treatment, if he can even step aside and take care of his old age. Take care of his old age. But one issue that I want to raise is that, you see, this is very good that they are preventing him from going for that meeting. I like the family because he'll go and embarrass himself. But that is how we advise politicians. When you are sick, try to recuse yourself from involving yourself in this stressful industry that we are. I remember time past, sometimes for decision making in Parliament, people are brought in their sick beds to hospitals. It's not good. You stress the person the more. You expose the person, and his dignity is reduced. So I am very proud of the family saying that he's not going to participate. He cannot go there and cannot function and embarrass himself the more. The only sad thing is that they have exposed why he is sick of, which I am sure he himself didn't authorize them to do it. That is what I have to say.
I see. But from everything you've just said, Doc, it's quite clear that for now he won't be able to function normally, right? And if he can't function normally, do you agree with those who say that perhaps the family would have to take a decision and say, look, we want to write on his behalf and communicate to the party that he's stepping down in his position as a national chairman? Unfortunately and interestingly, the family is even saying that they can't take that decision on his behalf. I mean, look at the man's condition. But the family, and I've listened to their interviews, they say, look, we can't take that decision on his behalf, whether to resign or to continue in that position as the national chairman of the party. I mean, Is that a good?
You see, he didn't become chairman
decision to take
by himself alone.
Okay.
There are a lot of factors. There are thousands and thousands of people who contributed for him becoming the chairman, and they wish that he complete his tenure as the chairman, or perhaps continue with his chairmanship. Because, you know, this is politics. You see one person holding a position, you think he's alone, you are making a big mistake. He just coming out to say that, oh, he has resigned. Even the family coming to say it on his behalf is not correct. Perhaps they want to give time to see whether he can get a little bit of stabilization and recover, and then he himself could alter that he wouldn't, or they allow to see the progress of the disease. If the disease is not resolving, it's not improving, perhaps the party can also have in their laws, in their constitution, if the chairman cannot function for some number of months or for some reason, he may know it better than me because that is his party, then we may have to allow somebody to act on his behalf till the next election, or we may have to go in to get a new chairman. But for now, just falling sick at the beginning like this, they may like to tweak it to see whether there will be some improvement for he himself to come back and then continue. But I would advise, from the way it started and his age, as a medical doctor, if he's my father, I would advise him to relax, take care of himself.
And to step down.
And to step down.
But can you hold that kind of conversation with him, looking at his mental state?
You can. That is why I'm saying, if he...
And can you trust whatever decision he takes, he tells you to take on his behalf?
You can trust, because as of now, he's in a disorder.
Yes.
He's
mentally challenged.
Mentally challenged.
Yes.
He can't take the decision.
Yes.
The elderly people can get mentally challenged because of aging, because of poor blood circulation. We also even have what we call transient ischemic attack. That could be like a small type of stroke that allows your brain to get disordered for some time and it recovers. But when it recovers, the possibility of you getting it again is very high, and then the rest. So that's why I'm calling that he should stay away from any stress.
Okay.
Take care of himself.
All right.
If he himself cannot take the decision, with time, if the family manages with his physicians and they manage and he gets better, that is when I think that I might call for him to just take care of himself and allow politics to continue with other group of people. It should be the best way to go for him. To be
Isaac, what options are left for your party? I mean, he's done 2 years, right? He's done 2 years and a bit as national chairman.
Yeah.
And so he has about a year and a few months to end his stewardship. So what does the party constitution say? Do you have to go for, some kind of how do you call it, an election to elect another national chairman, or somebody who has to act till the end of, I don't know, what does the party constitution say?
So, Muru, first and foremost, let's get this right.
Okay.
This letter is authored by the family.
Right.
And so whatever information that has been put in the letter didn't come from the party. It is the family that puts that information there. So we should be very mindful that the party has not put any information out there that speaks to the health condition of our national chairman, for which reason we are discussing. This was an authored letter by the family. Second, the family made mention of the state of the chairman. But as to the extent of that health condition, it's unknown. So all that we are doing here, or what doctor has tried to explain to us, is just the general position of such words and what it means. But to his specific health condition, we are not in a position to place it on the record as is being discussed. So it is not fair to disclose or to make it appear that he doesn't have the mental frame of mind to take decisions. It is not fair to make it appear as if he is in a state of inability. All that the party...
You don't trust the family?
No, not that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that Doc has given us the medical explanation of the condition.
Right.
And it depends on the level or the state of that particular condition.
Right.
And so you can have that cognitive dissonance, what have you, but it would be on different levels or grades.
Okay.
The only thing is that as a family, looking at the pressures of the work, they don't think it is prudent for him to be able to attend such programs and chair. And I've been a secretary to a board. When you write letters for and on behalf of the board, it doesn't mean that even if the board chairman, you say, I write this inviting you on behalf of the board chairman to attend the meeting, it means that necessarily the board chairman will be present to chair.
Right.
But the point is that meetings are supposed to be called under the authorization of the chairman. And so you never have any idea as to the conversation that had happened between the general secretary and the party functionaries that necessitated the call for the meeting. And nobody has said that in the state of the chairman, if he's not able to attend the meeting, he will be dragged into a meeting to chair. When you have first, second, and third vice chairman, that is why all the parties have provision for first vice and second vice and so on and so forth. And so it is only good that we have the information that chairman is not too well. We wish him well. He will come back and bounce strongly. The decisions as to whether he continues or he steps down is a matter of time, and it is his decision.
Okay.
But as a party, we have the constitutional capacity to withstand the absence of a chairman. Okay. We have provisions as to how we follow through with the absence of a chairman. The general the National Council is going to meet, and so once they meet and these informations are brought to the bear, then they will take the next decisions as to who takes responsibility for how long and so on and so forth. And then they will also engage the family and make sure that we provide our chairman the best medical care. All we want is that we get our chairman back in good strength to be able to live his life. Yeah. And then the party, if as you are saying, the next elections is only a year away. So what is it about chairmanship that you want to put someone in the state that would affect his overall life? I think the party knows better to protect him and to preserve him and wish him well and make sure that he bounces back to be able to support us with any other way and form. And so we leave it to the direction of the leadership of the party.
So what it means is that today's meeting would be deciding the way forward.
Definitely to be discussed.
And you have said a number of options are open to the party, and the party will look at all those options. But as part of the decision-making process, would you expect the party, for instance, to ask or to probe a bit further? Maybe you want to look at his medical condition, who is his medical doctor, what is the medical doctor saying, etc. Would you expect the party to go ahead and look at all of that? I think
the party has full view of his health. He's been in daily or regular contact with the leadership of the party. It's just a matter of the fact that the meeting that is supposed to be held today, maybe the family felt or they got the indication that he may have to be personally present, for which had triggered the need to put this on notice, that we will not make him available for the purpose of the meeting, even if we intended or not for him to be present. So they put this out there. But in terms of his state, the party has good view. Even if we don't have all the details, as you are saying, post this communication, the party will engage. Adelaide is a member of parliament. We meet every day in parliament. And this is a huge figure. He's the national chairman of the party. And he's been with the party from day one. And so everything about him is the party. And it is in the interest of the party to promote him, to protect him, and to get him well. And so everything we are going to do will be to the interest of our national chairman.
Oh, we can only wish him well.
I think we can wish him well. I think the exercise I did here was just to talk on the point of view of a doctor.
He mentioned
I'm advising him just like a patient to me, without any.
No, I get that. We can only wish him a speedy recovery. But you see, this is what health can do to us. I mean, you look at someone like Stephen Ntim. You look at the number of times he's been wanting to become national chairman. I think he only succeeded at his 4th attempt, I believe.
That's correct.
And what health can do to us. He's struggling to even finish his his term, and it's quite unfortunate. But we can only wish him well that he's able to bounce back and lead the MPP into the next elections. And even if he doesn't want to go again, regardless of what the outcome is, it would be a nice way, or a good way to land.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see how it goes. But speaking about health, the finance minister, we all know, as we've been told by his lawyers, is receiving medical treatment at the Mayo Hospital. The former finance minister, yes, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, is receiving treatment at the Mayo Clinic in the United States of America, Massachusetts, to be more specific. And we all know the issues that the OSP has with him. The OSP has put him on a red, Interpol red alert or red notice. There's a manhunt for him, etc., etc. So his wife has decided to keep all of us updated on his surgery and what has happened to him since. So there's a letter here. He says, the family of Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, this one looks a bit more authentic than what we saw a few days ago. I mean, somebody just wrote something, there was nothing there, and you know, we all lashed on it, but how for do? Anyway, so it says the family of Ken Ofori-Atta, and the address is 40 in Dabaningi, that's Sito Road, Laboni, PO Box CT 442, Cantonment, Accra, Monday, 16th June 2025. Press release, and it says, Ken Ofori-Atta undergoes successful cancer surgery. And it says, my husband, Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, has undergone the scheduled robotic assisted radical prostatectomy. Hey, this was to deal with prostate cancer, and it was done at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Oh, actually, it's Minnesota, not Massachusetts. Sorry, I apologize for that. It's in Rochester, Minnesota, on Friday, June 13th. The procedure took 4+ hours. The doctors are pleased with how the procedure went and will now place him on a post-operative regime. Now, Kenneth has always been resilient, but this has been very difficult, with the OSP choosing the period just before his surgery to declare a red alert on him. Kenneth is bearing up well and focused on doing whatever he can to be restored to good health. Our family is truly grateful for the support and prayers of many people and pastors. Signed, Professor Mrs. Angela Ofori-Atta, wife. Isaac.
Yes. So this is more like an update. I don't know why we are now getting updates from families and friends.
And not the hospital.
When it comes to these matters. But it all has a history. The history has been that since early this year, the OSP started an investigations which he wanted the former finance minister to fiscally appear. Records suggest that when the former finance minister was leaving the jurisdiction, he had notified the new chief of staff under President Mahama and also all possible statutory agencies that he was going for medical treatment. And so anybody that requires his input into anything, including the Ministry of Finance activities and work, they could reach him on a particular contact and so on and so forth. So he left the jurisdiction for healthcare purposes. And then OSP instituted an investigations and chose to invite him to appear in person, failure to which he was going to declare him a fugitive from justice. And so it is that Interpol alert that the OSP triggered that caused a whole lot of conversation around whether Ken Ofori-Atta was running away from justice or he was going through proper medical attention. You know, in the public space, if you are not careful and such trials are being made in the public, there are impressions created that because the person is being investigated, he's running away from the country. And so it was important for the lawyers of Ken and the family to put it out there that the man is actually going on medical treatment. And we always say, like we are doing, if the person is unwell and he dies, what will become of the investigation? You can only investigate a person who is alive. You cannot charge someone who is dead for all the crimes. So even as a state, it behoves on us to assist people who are sick. Even when you are in prison and you are not well, they take you to the hospital for medical treatment. How much more someone who is being investigated? And so all of these culminated in the recent declaration again, because the OSP had agreed to get Ken Ofori-Atta into the country at the early parts of this month. And then he thought Ken had failed to appear, and so he put him again on red alert. And then the family indicated that around this time, the 13th of June, he's scheduled for surgery. And so this is just to update us that he has successfully undergone that surgery. He's going on post-operative regime, which is to ensure that after the surgery, everything is fine. And then he would avail himself for whatever investigation and so on. We've had a detailed conversation as to whether he is supposed to be physically present before the OSP does his work, or the OSP can proceed to ignore his health condition and do his investigation and charge him if there's anything. So I believe, post this, if the OSP is minded and any other investigative body is minded, it's just a matter of engagement to see whether we can communicate with you wherever you are, or when will you be available for us to do the investigations. Ghana is a continuum. I don't think Ghana will burn in 1 month because somebody is being investigated and has not appeared. These investigations are for past decisions or past actions. And so you can always engage the person and make sure that the person is available. So I'm looking forward to him coming back to good health. We can also wish him well. But in terms of the press release, I see it only as an update. The OSP are choosing to ignore all possible communication that has emanated. He triggered his red alert. And I'm surprised the OSP has not arrested him by now. Because normally when you put this red alert, and his location is known. Now, apart from the hospital, they said it at Rochester, Minnesota. Yeah. So why hasn't the OSP gone to arrest him in his hospital bed? And this was the conversation we were having over the period. That if the person is sick and is undergoing treatment, allow the treatment to go. And then if he refuses to come, you can trigger. So now the location is known.
You mean the OSP could have liaised with the embassy, Ghana embassy in Washington, D.C., because we have a security there as well. So you go there, liaise with them, and get them to go there and say you're under arrest for so and so and so. But of course, he couldn't have done that when he's in a sick bed, awaiting, surgery. But now that surgery is over, they would want to wait for him to recover fully before they
So I leave this
to the arrest.
No, I leave this to the judgment of the OSP and the state security apparatus. Because for me, the principle is that everybody should avail himself for investigation. If the state, you served the state called Ghana in a capacity.
Yeah, but the wife said the husband is more than ready and willing
exactly.
to avail himself, except
that's what I'm coming to. The principle is that everybody should avail him or herself for investigation. And the man has said, I will avail myself. Now, as to whether that statement is believed by the OSP or not, is what has led us to where we are. So the impression in the minds of Ghanaians over the period was as if the man was running away from justice. And that was the mischief that needed to be cured, because the actions of the OSP was completely unnecessary. And that has been my consistent position. That if you have, because he has the state at his disposal to confirm or otherwise the health condition of the person when the person wrote to him and the lawyers were asking for this leave. And so if all of that had been ignored to the extent that just 2 weeks ago, you declare him again red alert, and then you ask Interpol to go for him. And then we are here today, 2 weeks later, he's undergone surgery, and then this is the update we are receiving. Then it means that the OSP either was not concerned about the health or the surgery that was supposed to go on, or we are only doing politics in the public domain, and that is what we need to avoid. So now, the OSP has a decision to make. We had suggested proceed with whatever investigation. If you still want him, you know where he is. Go for him, whether he's in a sick bed or he's in a cafe. You go for him and let him go through whatever interrogation you want. At the end of the day, if you charge him, it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that will make a determination of the matter.
It's interesting you bring up this issue about authenticating the veracity or otherwise of Kenneth Ofori-Atta's claim, or as a claim by his lawyers. This matter has come up several times, and I've heard Sami Darko again, who is the head of strategy and communications. He says, that's not how they operate. If I want to arrest you and you tell me that you have a medical condition or you are unwell, he says, and I'm talking about Sami Darko, it is not my responsibility to come to verify, it is not my responsibility to prove that you are unwell. It is your responsibility to give me sufficient evidence that indeed your claim that you are unwell is true. And then I can take a decision based on that. But if you ask me to follow every person I intend to arrest or I have arrested, okay, to go and prove or to go and authenticate whether the person is unwell or not, that's a lot of work for us. So we will not do it. We are there. You say you are unwell. Come and prove to us that you are unwell. And then we can take a decision as to how to treat or how to handle your matter.
Yeah, so
what do you make of that?
No, I don't have any problem with that assertion.
Okay.
My point has been what has been the engagement between his office, that is the Kenneth Ofori-Atta's legal team, and the OSP, and what is the trust level between both parties?
Quite clearly, I think there's some level of mistrust.
Exactly. Exactly. So that is what has triggered all of this, because if the OSP...
In fact, I'm even thinking that it is this same lack of trust which has occasioned the authoring of this letter.
Exactly.
Now, whether or not this letter is sufficient enough to bridge that trust gap, it's another conversation we can have.
Exactly.
Because again, when you look at this letter, again, it's no signature.
Exactly.
Of course, the only reason why we can place some premium on this is because we've had Prof grant interviews on some media houses and actually confirming that indeed she's the one, behind this letter. And that's why we're having a conversation at the back of it. But quite clearly, she realizes or recognizes that there's a certain trust deficit.
That is so.
And it ought to be bridged. And so she has decided to take it upon herself to do this. Now, I would have wished that it was the medical doctors who did this, but I'm told last week when Kwesi Price was here, this matter came up about, is Ken really sick or truthfully sick, honestly sick? And apparently he said there's a journalist. I just said I have a bit of a challenge with his modus operandi, but apparently there's a journalist who wrote to the hospital wanting some better or further and better particulars about his state of health. And the hospital actually told this journalist that they're unable to comment. So no comment. So, and that's in line with their policy, And so, Doc, you think that's what she's trying to do? She recognized that people don't believe that Ken is actually sick, and that's why she's had to come in with this letter. And what is radical prostatectomy?
Robotic radical prostatectomy.
Yes, exactly.
It's just simple surgery.
Simple surgery of the prostate.
You see, I'm happy she has brought out this because let me first of all wish Ken speedy recovery and that he gets well and comes home to defend himself.
Oh, so you don't doubt at all that he's unwell?
Who are you?
Because from what we have read, the surgery was very successful.
Yes.
Meaning that he will have a successful recovery.
4 hours plus.
Meaning that he will be able to come back to Ghana. Meaning that he will face the OSP.
No, she said the prof says she can't tell when he can come.
No, he can't say, but you see, this is where I have a problem.
Why?
Prostate cancer. I said it the last time here.
Okay.
Prostate cancer, what he has, can be managed in Ghana with some of the doctors even sleeping and managing it.
Really?
That is why some of us think that, yes, he's sick, but he's using the sickness as a screen smoke, as an excuse not to come home. Because what he has, that robotic prostatectomy they did, is nothing. Even in Ghana, we don't have the robots. The doctors can excise it, remove the prostate, either through the urethra or do abdominal removal, and you go home. Many people have had that surgery in Ghana, and they are walking about, and they are very fine. So to use prostate cancer as an excuse that you can't come to Ghana, not that you have a peculiar, some disease that Ghanaian doctors cannot manage, not that that sickness cannot allow you to fly on a plane and come to Ghana. No, it is not. It is a sickness that can easily be managed in Ghana. And I can tell you, Kolebu, Legon, Rich Hospital, even Tamale, where I come from, there are good urologists there who can manage this. Is it the chemotherapy or the radiotherapy? We have radiotherapy in Ghana. We have some in Kumasi. We have some in a Swiss medical facility. We have some in Kolebu. We can manage chemotherapy. We have the chemotherapy. We can manage it.
He wants the Minnesota chemotherapy. That's what he wants. He has the
all
funds
those
to
people,
pay for it.
they go for world conferences and publish their achievements. And I can tell you, so many Ghanaian doctors here have gone to world big conferences to publish their achievements in prostate cancer management. And they are there. The literature abounds for you to see. What he is doing to some of us is just that they are trying to use an ailment just for him not to come to Ghana. Look, I'm happy. This is the report we are getting from the wife. Successful. Robotic, whether it is robot who did it or not, whether it's human being who did it, they've removed the cancer. He will have his radiotherapy and chemotherapy. In 3 months, he should be fit enough to fly and come to Ghana. We only pray that he doesn't fall sick of anything again. Remember the last time we had Ntim? Last time we had Ntim limping. You remember here?
Yes.
And I said he was faking. I went out and so media houses called me, chastising me. I kept quiet. The following day, he was in Baumia's house, jumping. You see, look, I'm a politician, but I've done little medicine. And I can clearly tell you with authority.
Maybe he received medical treatment on his way home.
Oh.
That's why he was fit the next day.
What I'm happy is that Kane's surgery is successful to me. And many Ghanaians will be happy. And praying that he should come, because the accusations leveled against him are so enormous. People who have suffered under him for decisions that he took that we think are incorrect will be happy for him to come and explain himself and exonerate himself or be found culpable of what he has done to Ghanaians. Do you know how many Ghanaians couldn't get to buy their prostate?
That's what you see. Look, he was genuinely unwell. Look at that.
Genuinely well.
Yes.
Maybe he took the Yoko Slim tablet.
His both legs were wobbling.
But in Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia's house, you saw him the following day.
Yes.
Was he limping? He was even raising the legs to show us that, he's fit. He is fit to go back to Galamsey.
He received treatment that day. He received treatment.
That's on a lighter note.
He went to the hospital.
It's just for people to understand that. You see, so to me, he should come home. He shouldn't use prostate cancer as an excuse. If he tells me he's suffering from some particular ailment that I scan Ghana completely and that Ghanaian doctors cannot manage, I'll be the first person to defend him.
Okay, so if he did,
yes,
Ken Ofori-Atta is using his illness as a pretext, to evade or to avoid accountability.
Yes.
Why would Prof, his wife, find it necessary to update all of us about his state of health? Because you see now, every Ghanaian knows that maximum 3 months, he should be fine.
Yes.
So what it also means is that you and I, even as mere mortals or as laymen, we can track when Ken Oforiatta should be ready to come and face the music.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Now, I've even heard some people say that perhaps for strategic communication purposes, she should have just shushed. So that it leaves you and I in doubt. What's happening to him? Has he been operated upon? You know, how is he doing? How long is it going to take, etc., etc. But now we know, so we can track it.
Yes. I am happy that he has published it.
Yes, because you say, that's what, you there, you want the man to come down, quick, and be arrested. So now you can track it.
We can track it.
And you give him, so
tomorrow they won't.
So July, August, September.
It should be fine.
So latest by October, you expect him to be in town.
So if OSP is asking for his arrest or whatever, that is the mandate, like you are saying, that is the mandate of the OSP to ask for his arrest. If he's sick and the US laws doesn't allow that, and Ghanaian laws don't allow that, okay, get well. Now we have a report that he's successfully operated. So if after 3 months, the Ghana government decides to ask for extradition of Ken Oforiatta, and OSP decide that they should arrest him and bring him from the US, they may have to issue another one to say he's sick of another thing, which Ghanaians would not believe. This was to tell Ghanaians that Ken Oforiatta is sick. Yes, I know he's sick, but his sickness, I said it here the last time, can be managed in Ghana. Just call the chief executive officer of the Legon and ask him whether they can manage prostate cancer. You get the answer. That was saying that the sickness you have, yes, it's true, but it can be managed in Ghana. Come home, attend the sermons, whilst attending to your doctors, to manage yourself, because you've done so much that you need to answer for.
Isaac, you have attempted to help us understand. You're not a member of the family. Of course, you both share the same, you both belong to the same political party. And you have tried to explain to us what in your thinking may have, you know, informed the decision to produce this letter. What do you make of those who say that perhaps it's a misstep because now you've heard Doc, I feel you'll say, may train meaning say may 3 months. After 3 months, who needs excuse to be able to also be free. Yakamata Kazogida, as we say it in Hausa. The guy will say it's an overshare because after 3 months it's an overshare. I mean, given everything that Doc has said, do you think it was a good idea?
Why not? I'm of the honest opinion that he should come and respond to all the investigations that are ongoing. Okay. And so 3 months is even too far. Okay. If next month he feels better to come, he should come. If it's 2 months, he should come. That's why I'm not frenzied with the attempt to suggest that he is running away from that until and unless I have sufficient evidence to convince myself that the person is using health condition as a reason to run away from justice. So this whole hula baloo since January or February about Ken and where he is and he should come and he's on red alert, I said it was much ado about nothing, because either you believe that the person is sick, and the reality was that he was out of the jurisdiction before OSP started the investigation publicly. If the investigation had started, he appeared before him, 1, 2, and then took sick leave and went out. And then we knew that this condition can be treated in Ghana. Then that one I would have had an issue.
Okay.
But he had gone, and that is a choice. If I have the ability to go to Legon, or have the ability to go to Kolebu, or another wayside doctor at a corner, they are all decisions that an individual person decides where to take your medical attention, so long as it is not at the expense of the state.
All right.
So at the time he was leaving the jurisdiction, if he was under investigation, then I would have had a problem. But the moment the person had left, and then he was saying, I'm undergoing medical treatment, and I'm giving you evidence to suggest that I've been penciled for some surgery, and you want me to calm down. If I'm being taken care of at a point, and I come back, and then there's any crisis situation, am I going to refer all my medical reports to Ghana for someone to take care of me, or have to rush back and go? All of these were completely the point. But now the surgery has been conducted. That is what he asked for, and he wished for. Now they say that it has been successful. Whether it takes 1 week to recuperate or maximum 3 months, I'm saying that the man would have to show himself, appear before whoever, beyond OSP, whether it is the NIB, whether it is whoever, because you acted for and on behalf of the people of Ghana. Ghanaians gave you a mandate to act in a position. You've acted in that position. The people of Ghana are asking you to come and account. Bring yourself up, come and account, and let the state issue its own decisions and conclusions. And so I'm fine with the outcome. Let's allow him to come and face the rigors of the law. And if there's any reason why he's not coming, we would all be faced with those exigencies, and we can pass further comment on it. But for now, we wish him well. As I always say, health is the most important part of life. Health is the most important part. So once he's going through health, let us get him recuperate, and then this term of prostatectomy and all of those things that doctor is interpreting to me, prostate. Of course, prostate, we treat it in Ghana.
Oh, we treat it in Ghana.
But he has a choice.
He has a choice,
to go for what, because at the end of the day, if people have gone through similar treatments in Ghana and they have issues that they are not happy with, and you can even have it in America and you still have issues. People have had issues here and there, so you only pray that he gets well. And then we take
happy.
It from there.
We're happy the way it went. At least there's evidence to show that he was recovering very well. We hope next time we'll hear himself talking to us, sending us greetings from Minnesota. From Minnesota. Doing his quotations so that we'll listen to him happily.
Doc, I didn't know you like that too.
Sometimes
I'll be watching you from that side. Because the quotations ended about 2 years ago.
No, he has his mystery moments. When his mischief comes, nobody can dare.
I'm telling you.
He has his non-mischief days. Today I one of his mischief days. Anyway, so we'll take a little breather. When we come back, there has been a U-turn.
Right.
There has been a U-turn. Not an entire U-turn, but maybe a temporary U-turn, as far as what the position has described as levy is concerned. But there's an explanation. So when we come back, we'll look at what the explanation is, whether it's is a good one or not a good one. So stay with us, please.
Car Center in Ghana, offering unparalleled round-the-clock service in autos and accessories. Ntim Autofix is the biggest distributors of used tires in Ghana, offering first-grade second-hand car tires of all rim sizes at both wholesale and retail prices. We are also the leading name in car sensor diagnostics, corrections and sales of car accessories. We excel in car washing and detailing with state-of-the-art steam engine washing machines that keep water away from your engine, ensuring a clean, healthy and responsive engine. Ntim Autofix, the first name in servicing, car accessories and car washing. Visit us today and experience the world of class difference. Find us today at Asoridaho, directly opposite Dansoman KFC and the Shell filling station. For more details, you can call us on 0503 244 266 or 0535 339823. Ntim Autofix, Wukwainso Nyonko Papa.
Wabedum time aso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya mabesisia. Abozege. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I tell me Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji, Dabio, baby wom. Ready? Hey, baby wom. Ah, Eji. I'll cause some discomfort. Sorry, well, uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral? At your phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
Na mumshe na ndadanya waso mosquito coil esudu wo munumu na se spray wo dan mu so a twen sima adronum ansa na akodan no mu
Enkratoi FDA agiatum.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel. Made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed. All in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGO Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
Where to get polytank? Oh, and you're up fine. Go straight. Oh, I want to left, right. That's right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, any data. Oh no! Abe, na here. Mr. Polytank at all. And you think I'm in here by you to be able to buy you. Or food to be here. And enjoy your craft. Akuya Bulambo Kotoman. Like they take you by so. Go to the distributor and you give the original Polytank. Polytank. We get a sound.
Polytank. Papananka Sankasa.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Choco Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Choco Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Choco Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Buy affordable service plots and lands from estate masters. Currently selling our next cottage, located at the newly proposed airport city, with a starting price of 25,000 Ghana cedis. We also have Palm Hills, located at Panfo Grove in the Gomwa East District, also with a starting price of 15,000 Ghana cedis. Available also is Coastal Park in Lakpleku, which is a 15-minute drive from the Ningo Senior High School, having a starting price of 55,000 Ghana cedis. You will receive a free site plan with indenture once you successfully purchase a land from us. For any enquiries, contact the numbers provided. Estate Masters, your most preferred estate partner.
All right, you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moro. I'm here with Dr. Thomas Winsome Anaba. He's the MP for the good people of Garu and also a medical doctor and a member of the Health Committee of Parliament. And also Isaac Buamanyako is the member of Parliament for the good people of Efia constituency. He is a private legal practitioner. They both need each other. You know, when he's unwell, you go to Doc, and Doc needs legal services, you come to him. So everybody's job is important. And when they need somebody to bring out the issues in their communities, they come to us. You know. So they have to pay as well. And no, not them. They are not supposed to pay us. Our organizations have to pay us and pay us good money. But here, yeah, we get good money here. Don't get me wrong. We're very comfortable here. Anyway, so I talked about the Dumsor levy, and there appears to be some kind of a U-turn. So, you know, initially when the matter came up, we're not too clear whether it was a clear existing debt or it was to buy fuel, but it appears that it's supposed to do both. So 2 days ago, must have been on, I think I heard it on Saturday, yes, that we put it on hold. And today's Herald newspaper has captured it on page 2. Yes. So it says Dumsor levy postponed due to global oil price surge. Now, the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition has confirmed the postponement of the implementation of the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025, Act 1141, which was scheduled to take effect today, Monday, 16 June 2025. The act would have introduced a 1 cedi increase in the prices of petrol and diesel and a 20 pesos rise on liquefied petroleum gas. The Ghana Revenue Authority announced the deferral of Tariff Interpretation Order TIO number 2025-004 in a statement dated Friday, 13 June 2025 and signed by the Commissioner General, Anthony Kwesi Sapon. Richmond Roxing, the ministry spokesperson head of communication, explained on both social media and mainstream platforms that the decision was influenced by recent fluctuations in global oil prices. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, on 14th June 2025, Roxy stated that the implementation date for the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025, Act 114, which would have taken effect from Monday, 16 June 2025, has been postponed after consultation with stakeholders. This follows the government's earlier announcement that levy collection would commence on 16 June 2025, marking the beginning of the second pricing window of the month. A new effective date will be communicated in due course. Speaking in an interview on Channel 1 Newsroom on Saturday, 14th June, Roxin reiterated that the decision was largely driven by recent developments in global oil markets. He stated, "I can confirm that the government of Ghana as issued by the GRA, has postponed the implementation of the Energy Sector Levies Amendment Act 2025, Act 1141. This levy is what has introduced the 1 cedi on petrol, 1 cedi on diesel, and 20 pesos on gas. So yes, I can give you that confirmation." Roxing attributed the postponement to a combination of factors, including a recent surge in international oil prices and the government's commitment to shielding consumers from abrupt global price shocks, especially those linked to geopolitical tensions involving Israel and Iran. He notes that from February till date, a windfall was experienced on the fuel market as a result of the prudent management of the exchange rates, which has brought fuel prices from an average of 17 cedis to an average of 11 or 12 cedis, depending on which oil marketing company you buy from. However, he warned that crude oil prices have spiked again in the past 72 hours due to intensifying geopolitical tensions between Iran and Israel. Right, Isaac. Good reason, justifiable reason?
There couldn't have been any more justifiable reason than even imposing this in the first place. Yes, because when you are a government and you really plan in the medium to long term, you would have anticipated some of these global issues before coming up with the introduction of such a tax. Remember, the government from day one, from the State of the Nation's address to the budget, had never given Ghanaians any indication that they were going to introduce taxes. Now, when you are planning for the year, you would have had an idea what where are your revenue streams? Which taxes are you going to introduce? And which ones are you going to take out? So it was clear in their mind they were going to take e-levy, they were going to take away betting tax, they were going to, and they told us where they were going to fill the gaps from. They said they were going to reduce the refund account from 6% to 4%. They were going to decap the common fund and then get fund and so on and so forth. And so all of these things would have been made available for us to pay off our debts, including the energy crisis. So it was really a shock to Ghanaians and for us in Parliament when you wanted to introduce this MD levy in the back door of a state of emergency, certificate of emergency. If you come under certificate of urgency, the rationale is that if we don't deal with it on the day that we are doing, something will happen to this country. I said it at the committee level and on the floor that why are we in a rush? We were now making modest gains from the CD appreciation and then fall in inflation and so on. So you needed to give the Ghanaian people some time to acquaint and to normalize with the situation. And then you can also look at the future turnaround. Because these hostilities, whether it is Iran, Israel war now or Russia-Ukraine war, though the president and the NDC government had not acknowledged in time past when the previous government was highlighting them as the reason for some of our economic challenges, there were always a turnaround when they have opportunity to still cite them because we are not in isolation. We live in a global space and we are not independent. We depend on a lot of these global issues. Fuel is global. Price of gold is global. They are all determined by external factors. And so when you have all these gains and then you want to introduce, and I questioned the minister, why 1 Ghana cedi per litre? If you want to introduce a levy, come with some, and the same thing doing the e-levy, electronic levy. Government wanted 2%, 1.5. They said, oh, start with 0.5 so that people can get used to realize our money, and then over time you can make certain decisions. I said, why not start with 1 cedi per gallon, which would have been equivalent to 0.25 per litre, because already we were taking 0.95. So you add it like that. Now we were expecting 5.7 billion. If you do 1 cedi per gallon, you would have raised about 1.5 to 2 billion. That is significant enough to reduce your pressure. And if that had gone on, we would have started collecting the money without people complaining. Now you projected 5.7 billion. You thought under certificate of urgency, by the next 2 days you were going to implement. The company, the oil marketing company, they said, no, we needed time to adjust. Because you have only imposed the tax. We have to go and source funding to go and buy them. We need to calibrate our system to be able to do the collection. And GRA gave a set date. Now, in 3-4 days ago, there is fight in Israel and Iran. And global price of fuel has started shooting up. So we have moved from Russia-Ukraine war to Israel-Iran war. Now, who is singing that song? John Mahama. They didn't want to hear Russia-Ukraine war. Now they want us to hear Israel-Iran war. But that is the reality. Crude oil price used to sell at 64. Now it's gone to almost 79. And you'll be amazed to see that we'll be hitting the 80s if the war continues. So this pricing window, the projection of government was that the fuel price will go down and then the 1 Ghana per litre would have leveled it at the same 12 cedis per litre. Now, they've taken away, they've suspended the e-levy, the D-levy. They're saying that prices will still further go down because per the window, what is coming in has already been acquired. So it's falling to about 11 now. So without the D-levy, the price of fuel is coming down. But the next pricing window, which is what they are buying today, is going to take us almost double of what we have benefited. So if we are not careful and the price continues to surge, we will be looking forward to an increase in petroleum from 11 to maybe 13, 14. And that will be inching us closer to all the gains that we had made over the period of time. And that is why we even said at the minority level that when you wanted to introduce the D-levy, what are some of the gaps that you want to cure, that in case the pricing rises to a particular level, is there something that government was going to suspend the collection? Because we are only implementing, or we were introducing it because of the gains. Should it shoot up again, would government reduce it? They said they were not going to incorporate that into it. Now we have suspended it. Suspended it till when? Suspended till when? So we've come to Parliament, you forced all of us overnight to pass a law. And now we've passed the law, we can't implement it. Now, if you are not implementing it, the challenge is if the prices even begin to go up, how is government preparing itself to accommodate those? It's going to dislocate a lot of our plans for this year. It's going to change. Now he's charged the Minister of Finance and Energy to meet and look at steps that we are going to take to address it. Dollar had come down to 10.2, 10.3. Now, apart from the interbank rate, go and check the market price for dollar. It's 13 plus in the open market. Now at the banks, you can't get dollar. You want to travel and you request, the banks, those times you can access not more than $10,000. Today they can't give you $2,000, $3,000 when you want to travel.
Hey, have you traveled? You've traveled?
Are you doubting what I'm saying?
Have you traveled?
I'll give you the evidence after this meeting.
You know, he intends to travel.
But I'm not one of those who want to put panic into the system.
Yeah, right.
Because we've come a long way in securing this gain. But that is why we say government ought to plan thoroughly. If they had listened to some of the advice we gave from the minority, and at times they think as minority, ours is just talking. Just talk. You have your say, you have our way. But we are representing the voiceless, the silent majority who cannot, even at some point, the majority themselves have concerns, but they can't voice it because it is a ship system. So some of us would get that indication. We put it before government, and government has to listen. Now, where are we? And if we had reduced the 1 cedi per litre to 1 cedi or 1.5 cedis per gallon, government would have made some money now. I'm sitting at the finance committee. We've met all the ESLA companies over the weekend. There is an energy deficit. We need to get money to pay up some of these shortfalls. So where are we going to raise the money from?
The shortfalls are saying the debts that we've racked up.
Apart from the debts, we are always adding on to because the Minister of Finance.
Every minute we add to the debt.
No. In the petroleum sector, in the energy sector, the Minister of Energy had told you that in the price build up, even liquefied petroleum, they have not been factored in.
Yes.
So we are not even collecting, we are not even charging at
no, so we're basically not paying the right price for utilities, or let's say for utilities, for power.
Exactly.
Especially power.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so we're not paying the right price.
And so these levies were supposed to come into...
In fact, Ato Forcing tells us that the government, in fact, John Jinapo tells us that they always have to look for money from Ato Forcing to go and buy liquefied fuel or petrol to be able to power some of the plants that we have.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not been factored into the price build-up.
And that is why even when
in arriving at the tariffs,
last week through the weekend, we met all the power generation companies, ECG, Gridco, Netco, and we've listened to them at the committee level, we've heard and seen some of their challenges. There are certain measures we can put in place to remedy it. That one we are not going, because that's a committee deliberation, and so we are going to make those recommendations to the full house and then remedy. So there are several ways that, but when it comes to levying, it is one short step gap to collect money immediately to pay for some of these things. The difficulty is that now it's been suspended. So government plan and promise to all of these companies that give us 1 month, we are going to raise so much, we will start paying you, has all fallen off. And so we need to now know from government. And I'm going to ask an urgent question today. I'm filing an urgent question today to the Minister of Finance. I've written it here to come and explain to us what measures he's going to put in place to remedy this situation, because we need something to communicate and to assure the good people of Ghana that, one, petroleum prices are not going to go up to the level that we are seeing. Cost of electricity is not going to go up again to the levels that we don't anticipate to go. And then if these things are not going to happen, where are we going to get the funding from? And I think my colleague and I on the House of Parliament should think through and find a solution.
You know, Doc, the power sector problems is a hydra-headed one. Because there are two, at two different levels, we are experiencing either an under-recovery or a shortfall. So, for instance, if the liquefied petroleum was even factored into the price build-up, which ends up being the tariffs that we pay, we still have a problem even collecting the money.
Distribution, collection losses.
You see? So generally we call them system losses. Yes. So already now, we are not paying what we're supposed to pay. Sure. And what we are paying to, we are not collecting it.
That's a big problem. So it's making revenue for the power producers very difficult.
Yes.
And government has to come up with something. And that is why I think that, you see, energy is very fundamental in any economy, especially in the economy in which we are.
It's the lifeblood of this economy.
So yes, technology, everything depends on energy. If we allow the energy sector to crumble down, it means that all of us are going to lose our work. We are finished. So government thought it wise that, okay, let's bring a levy. Once we had at least some fall in the crude oil price and prices are going down, we have reduced the price of petrol from a gallon of fuel from 17 cedis to something to almost 12 cedis, 11 cedis. You have made some gains, so everybody now is making some gains.
From 15.
Yes, so let's just take 1 cedi out of that. That was not going to even shoot up the price. I'm happy he said it was not going to shoot up the price of fuel. It was only going. They were only going to take 1 cedi out of that gain that everybody is making from 1 liter. Let's see how we can cushion the energy sector that all of us are complaining. And remember, one thing is that we're actually not paying for the liquid gas.
We're not.
It means the government has to pay for it. And it is you and I who have to pay for it. But we didn't understand it. Government saw that there was they realized that there was complaints that they didn't consult well. As a caring government, as a reasonable government, what will you do? You go back to consult. Unlike others who won't consult, who don't care, they would still go on. They call it Yetiobia. He went back to listen to them. Then now he has seen that one of the factors that causes petrol prices to surge are wars and international issues. And he has seen that Iran is a major producer of gas, liquid gas, and then fuel. Israel, the same thing. They have gone into a war. Definitely, the next window of price will go up. He says, let's suspend it. Let's find other alternative ways in solving the problem that we have at hand with the power producers. That is why he asked the two ministers to come together and model the system to see what they can do. Definitely, those companies who are the power producers are also part of this world, and they are seeing what is happening in the international market. They are seeing what is happening in the geopolitics of the world. They will definitely not come with a knife in their hands to put trigger on people's heads. So I think that this move the government has done to suspend is not because the government doesn't want the money. It is because they are weighing the consequences of going ahead with it and not going with it. They know perhaps if they don't go with the levy, perhaps the consequences will be less. But if they go with it, it will be high. But what I'm surprised is they
engage all the stakeholders.
That is why it's called agency. Sometimes cabinet take decisions.
2 weeks after you pass it, why didn't you collect? If it was emergency.
Because there was an issue.
Which issue?
People raise concerns of consultation.
So that's exactly my point. So you didn't consult. If you had consulted, we wouldn't be here talking about it.
Oh, we have passed laws in this country on the certificate of emergency.
But
this
is taxing the
it's
people.
Taxing. Yes,
and
we understand.
Is about the
energy sector was about to collapse.
So now
perhaps,
it collapse.
No. Perhaps with what? See, it can collapse because the managers of those energy producing companies were thinking that government was not making any effort to meet them. But they have actually seen. I think they've also actually seen that government is making effort to help them, but there's another crisis coming. Don't they really understand? They are human beings who. And all businesses, we have force measure. You are a lawyer. At certain times, you have to agree to something and and then the rest. So they have also seen what is happening in Ghana, happening in the world. That is making it impossible. If government had gone through a certificate of agency to pass a law to get money to pay them, and there are exigencies that he must put it on a hold, they are watching. They are watching to see that, oh, government has been nice, he was trying to help us, but this has happened. Let's give him some time to see how he can recover. So bring your proposals to the table. Today you said asking the question. Come and ask and bring some proposals. Definitely, Atu Wafosi, he's listening, and he's listening. At least the dollar is coming down. The price of dollar is coming down. Fuel will be coming down a little. We have been ranked. We have been promoted, upgraded to B+. So I think the economy.
Oh no, of course, no.
Better. So support us. Let's move Ghana forward. Let's cure the problem of the energy sector. But you say I shouldn't go into politics. But you know, if ESLA was really used for what it was meant for,
we would have reduced it significantly.
Yes. Okay. You say I shouldn't go into politics, but
that's the truth. These are factual. So, and that is why I have also impressed on government. And I told the Minister of Finance, this particular levy, if it had been collected, we would have ensured that it goes exactly into the use of what it was planned to. Yeah. So we always have to learn from past mistakes and ensure that we get things done and done right.
All right.
So I think, of course, as at now, government should still come up with remedial ways of raising money to support this energy sector challenges. Right. And then the minister
maybe recouping the loose can give us some money too.
You know, and the minister of you see, a lot of these energy challenges also has to do with renegotiation with the IPPs.
Yeah.
You know, most of these companies, it is in Ghana that they're getting what they're getting. If they leave Ghana, they don't have anywhere to go. And so it is important that we engage. We started the renegotiation, but we couldn't complete it. The minister promised us that he was going to continue, and he gave a signal that it was looking positive. I think 6 months down the line, we should be able to get finality to it, so that we'll be able to properly assess, even going forward, how much the debt we owe in, and then what can be done about it.
All right, so let's make progress. So yesterday, a very important event happened in Parliament where we are vetting our potential justices of the Supreme Court. Yesterday, 3 of them appeared before the Appointments Committee. It's actually Appointments Committee and something of Parliament. It's not just Appointments,
It's Appointments Committee.
Oh, really? It's just Appointments Committee.
Yes.
Okay. So the Appointments Committee of Parliament, and I think, well, I'm sure that the 2 of you all watched it. I watched it too. Now, today's newspapers have reported different angles to some of the things that have been said. A lot was actually said. And so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to restrict you to what the newspapers are reporting. I'll also ask you to tell me what you make of yesterday's event. But I find 2 of the publications quite interesting. And so you look at Daily Graphic today, Timothy Ngbengbe says that at parliamentary vetting of justices, Jamepe backs Supreme Court in the northern part of Ghana, where you and I come from, you know. Now, a Supreme Court nominee, Justice Senyo Jamepe, has supported the establishment of a branch of the Supreme Court in the northern sector of the country to break barriers to justice at the Apex Court. He said, although the country had a centralized Supreme Court, it was not out of order to establish a branch in the northern parts of the country to bring justice at the highest level closer to the people. Justice Jamepe said this in response to a question posed by Majority Leader Mahama Yariga when he appeared before the Appointments Committee of Parliament yesterday. The NDC Member of Parliament for Boku Central had sought the view of the nominee on the possibility of setting up a Supreme Court in the northern sector of the country to reduce travel time to the capital city, Accra, arguing that such long travels could make justice delivery at the Apex Court inaccessible to the people in that area. Now, in response to that suggestion, Justice Jamepe said there could be a branch of the Apex Court in the northern sector akin to the Court of Appeal in the High Court system. And he says, I do not see anything wrong if we have to get a branch of the Supreme Court in northern Ghana if there's a need. And on April 29 this year, President John Dramani Mahama appointed 7 appeal court justices made up of 5 males and 2 females to the Supreme Court. The President, in accordance with Article 1442 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, submitted a list of the nominees to the Council of State for its consideration. After the advice and confirmation of the Council, the nominees were expected to be vetted and approved by Parliament. The 7 who are all justices of the Court of Appeal are Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ejay. Oh man, he was my man of the moment.
Yes,
man. Dennis Ejay was super. Anyway, and Justice Biel Simon Subare. I hope I got it, Subare. Yes, and Justice Senyo Jamepe and Justice Kwekutewia Akaboafo. The rest are Justice Philip Bright Mensah and Justice Janapari Battels Kojo and Justice Hafsatu Amelboba. Okay. And it says that Justice Jamepe, who was appointed to the Court of Appeal in 2010, served as a Justice of the High Court before his promotion to the Court of Appeal. He chaired the Jamepe Commission that probed the Black Stars' chaotic campaign at the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. And he goes ahead on and on and on and on. Now, there's tenure of president. He said, regarding whether the president who has previously done 1 term could serve 2 more terms. Very controversial matter. Now, he said what the Constitution had stated was the ultimate way to go. My response to this question is, what the Constitution says, he said, is a response to a question posed by a member of the committee. So there was no some clarity. I think he smartly sort of avoided that question. So quite a number of issues. Now, if you look at the Daily Guide, it also talks about the judiciary's financial independence, how that sometimes affects their work. And that story is right here. And as Kofi Edu says, the Supreme Court nominee, Justice Senyo Kofi Jamepe, has raised concerns about the financial independence of Ghana judiciary, arguing that its reliance on funding from the executive and approval by the legislature undermines its true autonomy. Appearing before Parliament's Appointments Committee yesterday, Justice Jamepe explained that although the judiciary enjoys administrative freedom and can make independent decisions, it does not control its own finances. When it comes to the judiciary, yes, we are independent. Administratively, yes, we're independent. But financially, we are not, because you, Parliament, you give us money. When the budget comes to you, you give what you think we need. And there's another, he talks about judges must declare assets. And it says, in addition to his concerns about financial independence, Justice Jamepe called for equal accountability across all arms of government, insisting that judges, like other public officials, must declare their assets in accordance with the Constitution. If the law says all government appointees should declare their assets and judges are government appointees, why not? They have to declare their assets. When asked whether he had complied with the requirement, Justice Jamepe confirmed that he had done so. Now, he also talks about some sweeping reforms, and he says there must be, he's proposing wide-ranging reforms aimed at improving the efficiency of the country's judicial system, including the introduction of fixed timelines for concluding court cases. He expressed concern about the persistent delays in adjudicating cases, particularly criminal matters, and suggested the enforcement of strict deadlines. I also think we must set timelines for cases. For instance, criminal cases should not go beyond 3 months, and civil cases should be completed within 6 months. There should be time limits. No criminal case should exceed 3 months, and no civil case should drag on indefinitely. He suggested. You watched it too, I believe. I said.
Yeah.
So these plus your own take on some of the things that you've heard.
Right, thank you very much. And
of course, there's also public tribunals. He's justified it.
Yes.
So we should establish public tribunals. In fact, we should revive them. They've already been established. All right.
So,
which one do you want to take?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think yesterday afforded us an opportunity to hear at first hand some of the justices who have been nominated to the office of the Supreme Court. And it was an exciting moment. I would like to commence by establishing whether the nomination of 7 members or 7 justices to the Supreme Court was really consistent with the position the NDC under John Dramani Mahama had taken prior to coming into office. Remember that there has been a lot of conversation as to the number of justices who should be at the Supreme Court. Some have been talking about capping it at a particular number. Some had given reason why we shouldn't go beyond 15. In fact, I remember Haruna Idrisu had made that submission before, and even the president, John Dramani Mahama, said Nana Danko Akufo-Addo was populating the Supreme Court when actually he had the opportunity to replace those who were retiring from the Supreme Court. And so this introduction, remember before Nana Danko Akufo-Addo exited, there had been some nominations who had actually gone through parliamentary vetting. 2 of them were supposed to have been approved by the House, and they were not because they said the numbers at the Supreme Court were already too many, then about 15 at the Supreme Court. And so one wonders what informed the nomination of 7 people to the apex body of Ghana. And then when one of the justices was asked about the number of justices now, he said they were 13 or 14. So if you add 7 to it, then we are getting to 21 justices of the Supreme Court. And so that question has to be answered. What should be the maximum number of people who should serve in our Supreme Court? The Constitution did not cap, but under this Constitutional Review Commission, is there a need for us to review this particular constitutional provision? Because if we don't, then we started from 9, we go to 11, we've been to 14, we are now at 21. And all the explanations that we hear is that case load.
So there are 14 Supreme Court judges
currently,
now, and we're adding 7.
We're adding 7.
Which is 21.
And this is the highest numbers we are adding at any point in time. And this is the first time we are breaking out of 15, the numbers of 15 justices at the Supreme Court, to the numbers we are talking about.
But Justice Jonathan talks about the workload.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The justification is workload. But the point is, do you need to terminate every application at the Supreme Court? That is a question we should answer. Every matter has to terminate at some point. And so if you go to other jurisdictions, there are certain civil matters that terminate at Court of Appeal. There are certain matters that should terminate at the High Court if it is emanating from the lower court. And so the Supreme Court is given that responsibility to concentrate on its core responsibility. One, which is interpretation of Constitution, and also being an appellate for certain high-level cases. And when you do that, then you wouldn't need all of these.
Sorry, someone has just corrected. It's actually 13.
No, it's actually, he said 13, but the actual is 14.
Really?
Yes, it's 14. So Justice Jamefe said 13.
Yes.
And then his attention was drawn to the fact that it's actually 14. So
interesting, all the newspapers are reporting that. Anyway, so I think it was based on what he said.
Yes, on what he said. Yes. With 13, 14 plus 7, 20, 21. We have still hit the 20 mark. You know, so that is a constitutional matter we should resolve as to the capping of the number of justices.
But of course, he adds a very important point in regards to the uncapping of the number of Supreme Court judges. He talks about the fact that there must be a justification for adding the numbers, not just adding for
when you talk
sake.
about the same justifications were given by the MPP when, apart from replacing, because remember, the last nominations that were made, we had already failed in those who had gone on retirement. But then the president wanted to bring in 2 or 3 more to prepare for those who were going to be due for retirement that year. Okay, so though they had not retired, some of them were going to retire in 6 months, were going to retire in 8 months. And so the president, the justification was that because these justices were going to retire, let's prepare and get some other people onto the bench so that when they retire, you still get the numbers. And then you add 1 or 2 more to justify the workload, because they are saying that there's so much at the hands of the Supreme Court. One judge or a panel have plethora of cases that they need to adjudicate, which is not consistent with other jurisdictions. So all of those justifications were made. But the question is, jumping from 15 or 16 to 21 or 20, what again are the reasonable justifications? Yeah. In this instance, we were not given the justification. And that's why he said he is not in the mind of the president to know the justification upon which these are being made. And so if you call for justification, any government, the president, Muhammad, said he was going to reset. So inherent behind the mind is resetting the judiciary. So is that part of the justification? That cannot be on paper. But if it is about workload, then somebody should tell us how many cases appear before the Supreme Court per annum, how many cases are handled by each panel, what should be the minimum numbers, why are we going to those numbers? And these are for public record, because the public that pays for the expenses of the justices. You remember all of them return their salaries. And then they all have to be provided with high-level accommodation. We have to pay for their drivers. We have to pay for their pay. So much goes into the office of one Supreme Court justice. And so with these 7, it's more like appointing about 20 High Court justices or more than appointing these 7 Supreme Court justices. So that is the first. The second is about the independence of the judiciary. There's been a question as to who should nominate. Remember, Justice Gertrude Tokonu wrote a letter to the president, which is part of the reasons why people petitioned for her removal, that she didn't have power to write to the president asking for certain people to be nominated to the Supreme Court. Now, the constitutional provision is that the president nominates in consultation with the Council of State and on the advice of the Judicial Council. Yeah. And this whole trajectory is creating a lot of confusion. Now, if you say on the advice of the Judicial Council, is it the case that Judicial Council ought to do an assessment of the performance of justices at the Court of Appeal, amongst others, to justify who gets promoted to the office of the Supreme Court? And is the president bound by the advice of the Judicial Council? If the president makes nomination, and you say in consultation with the Council of State, is the president bound by the opinion of the Council of State against some justices? And in advice of the Judicial Council, when it goes to the Judicial Council, what becomes of it? People have complained as to those the former president appointed to the Supreme Court, bringing in political biases when it came to Justice Gawu and all of those things. And so if you leave it at the behest of the president, people think there are influences at that level. So is there also a need to review the appointment? Someone made a recommendation in other jurisdictions. It is purely a committee that is set up. You make an application, you declare vacancies, people apply from all various backgrounds, including academia, legal profession, and so on and so forth. And then a committee evaluates, comes, does the interview, makes recommendation, and that is where we go. If we really want judicial independence, is it time we take this burden off the president? Because if the president appointing, the understanding or the inclination of people is, oh, these people are for the party. Why should we politicize an appointment of someone to the high office of a Supreme Court on political colorization? So that even if the person delivers judgment, we are not looking at the crux of the decision, the evidence before, but the mere fact that as far back as when Justice Atuguba was on the Supreme Court, every decision he makes, political decision, we saw he was appointed by President Rawlings. So from the time President Rawlings appointed Atuguba, we are saying that Atuguba has become so fixated with the NDC that he cannot take any decision that will ignore to reasonability and conscience. The same thing we have today. If someone makes a decision 5-0, 5-1 against the NDC, oh, it's because all of them were appointed under President Kufuor or Nana Akufo-Addo. So now we have 7 from Mahama. So anytime those people sit and they make decisions, oh, it's because Mahama brought them there. So the independence of the judiciary ought to be looked at. But that I will just oppose with the financial independence. I think the fact that you want judicial independence doesn't mean that financially they should also be taking decision on how much they are paid. Because Parliament is the house of the people's representatives. It is the people who pay taxes for us to use. And so the fact that already they have financial independence to the extent that their salaries and everything are drawn directly from the consolidated fund. So there are clear mechanisms to secure the financial independence of the judiciary. But I totally disagree. If someone has an inclination that, for example, let's give a percentage of our collection to the judiciary to decide what they do. Everything should be subject to parliamentary approval. In Parliament, we are not executive and we are not the judiciary. And so we should be able to look at the needs of the judiciary. And that's why even the appointment comes to Parliament for approval.
You see, I get the philosophy behind what you're saying. Unfortunately for us, we say we have a parliament on paper. But the reality of the matter is that, I mean, our parliament is also very partisan in terms of how you do your work. You know, so that's what I'm saying. I get where you're coming, which is Parliament is the protector of the purse. And so Parliament, there's nothing wrong with Parliament determines how much who gets and so on and so forth. I get all of that. But if the Parliament we have is not sort of predisposed, or it is not in alignment with whoever even the Chief Justice is, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but I believe from
you get it?
Later.
So it is the reason why, for instance, the Speaker of Parliament, you remember when this issue between the judiciary and the
Speaker.
Aha. And that sort of compelled the Speaker of Parliament to say that, look, yes, don't annoy us, because if you annoy us, we'll make you very uncomfortable. You know, you see, for me, I think that the crafters of the Constitution had very good intentions. Unfortunately, I think that in terms of how we are practicing the coordinating powers of the arms of government, we appear to have a bit of a challenge, because you see, as Justice Jamefe said, the fact that Parliament pays them has also made them to some extent subservient to what Parliament does. So, for instance, if somebody from Parliament, if Parliament wants something done by the judiciary, they may have a challenge to say they won't do it, because you will come back to us, because we will determine how much you are paid, and so on and so forth. I don't know if I get the point.
Yeah, I get the point.
So it's the subservient nature of the way the arms of government are interrelating. It's where Justice Jamefe is coming from.
Yeah, I agree. But this comes to separation of powers. But what
you see, is that true? So you see, is that true separation of powers?
You can't get 100% separation of powers anywhere. Because somebody has to check somebody. And it's all about the system you put in place and the integrity of the system. And I think if you come to the committee level, the Judicial Committee of Parliament, where these matters are discussed extensively, they are more often than not based on the justification that you make. And and many a times it is even Parliament that fights for increments in some of these matters. Because once you come and you explain, Parliament is able to make a case for even an increment in the things that you've brought. But let me end with.
But don't you think it depends largely sometimes also on the posture of the Chief Justice?
Oh, you see, you may have just one or two instances.
If the majority in Parliament feel that the Chief Justice is very high-handed on their political party, sometimes there's a bit of a difficulty in playing.
You can anticipate, but I think these are far-fetched. If you go into that trajectory, then we would Let me end with my last issue on the 2-term question and limit. This has become a very topical issue in recent days, whether a person who has served one term, gone and come back, would have the opportunity to serve another 2 terms, whether the 2 terms is consecutive or 2 terms implicita. I think the justices have been very clear in their mind, coming that 2 terms mean 2 terms. It is important we put this across to the good people of Ghana, that the constitutional provision is for anybody who serves as president to serve maximum of 2 terms, whether it is conservative or it is concurrent or not. That is
2 terms is 2 terms.
2 terms is 2 terms. So that as we proceed to our next, because we've had countries around us who have varied their constitutional provision and has led to chaos. Where we've got into, I don't think President Mahama, in his own wisdom, even within the NDC, would contemplate that, let me go and test, because I brought people to the Supreme Court, let me go and test whether I can get another constitutional extension of term. I think that is far-fetched, but it's important that these questions are asked so that people will have a clearer frame of mind, so we build the democracy that we want. I think I'll defer the rest to my colleague.
Okay. I think starting from where you just ended, I think for the...
Oh, in fact, sorry, before you come in.
Yes.
There's another important issue that Jamefe talked about. I'm surprised that it has escaped you. The president is not in town, vice president is not in town, speaker of parliament is not in town. What happens? He made some comments on that as well. Yeah. And if you look at today's Ghanaian Times, he talked about it as well. He said as to whether the speaker should be sworn in the absence of the president. Swear the speaker in. Because the speaker is supposed to be sworn in by the Chief Justice, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so he said as to whether the speaker should be sworn in as absence of the president and vice president, he cannot make any explicit comment, but says whatever the Constitution prescribes must be adhered to, adding that the law is the law. He said there must be a lacuna explaining that if the president is away, the vice, the speaker, and the Chief Justice can act in order to fill the vacuum, adding that the state must run, but you have to know the kinds of decisions to make. But so who swears the Chief Justice in? Because she swears the people in.
So I completely disagree with the opinion of my learned senior Jamefe on this one. Because see, the Constitution is clear.
Yes.
The president, if the president is not the vice president, if the vice president is not the speaker is sworn in.
Yes, by the Chief Justice.
By the Chief Justice. It ends there.
This time, the speaker wasn't
it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. Because
but life happens.
No.
Life happens.
Then if you
the
bring
speaker
in the Chief Justice,
wasn't well.
If you bring in the Chief Justice, in the absence of the Chief Justice, what happens? So at any point in time, if the president knows that the vice president is unavailable, and the speaker is also unwell, if the president travels, he has to come in before the speaker flows out. There shouldn't be a situation where you get the president, the vice president, and the speaker out of the jurisdiction, because there's always coordination. What's the president doing outside?
If the 3 of them are... It's okay, hold on. If the these 3 important people are indisposed, what happens?
Indisposed in which way?
It could be ill health, could be anything.
No, so
incapacitated.
Then there's a constitutional provision. If the president is indisposed, okay, in terms of ill health, he would have been in the jurisdiction. Unless you say he's flown out.
Yes, he's flown out.
The vice president
is also
flown out.
Yes.
The speaker
is flown out.
Is also
it's a possibility. Let's not say there's a possibility.
So when you bring in the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice is also flown out,
what happens?
Yes.
Has the Constitution contemplated it?
So that is why I'm saying, I'm of the candid opinion that first and foremost, don't outstretch this already existing provision of the president, the vice, and the speaker. Because anytime these 3 happens, then there would be a Supreme Court or a Chief Justice to make a determination on the matter. Or let's make a constitutional provision in the review mechanisms that we are doing to cure any potential mistake. But the argument is, under no circumstance should we have the president, the vice president,
all things being equal.
And
one of them must always be in town.
And it was properly crafted, because if you bring the justices in, if you bring the Chief Justice in, the Chief Justice is not an elected representative.
True.
So on what basis is he coming to perform the function? He cannot. You cannot be a judge.
So Justice Jambepe talks about
judicial
Justice
decisions.
Jambepe talks about limited decisions. That's how he describes it. Limited. We must agree. What can the Chief Justice decisions that the Chief Justice can take and what they cannot take?
No, exactly my point again.
It's still a bit chaotic.
It's very chaotic and outstretched.
Yeah.
And then he also mentioned the occasion where we should at what point should we swear in the speaker?
Yes.
Whether if the president travels for 2 days or he's going for 1 day, you still need to swear in the speaker. And he thought this is something that we shouldn't swear in the speaker. I disagree. The reason why you swear in the speaker to act as president is because the speaker is not part of the executive arm. He sits as head of the legislature. And now you are adding an additional responsibility for him to act as an executive president. Then, if you don't swear him in, maybe the president said, I'm going for 1 day.
Yeah.
But for exigencies or some difficulty, he doesn't come the next day as planned. And it takes him 3 days. Are you going to now be adding on an additional day? So that burden of swearing in to cure that responsibility for the speaker should be available, even if it is for 24 hours. So that in the event where the president extends his days, you don't create another constitutional crisis.
It. Okay, that's fine. Let me do this quickly. So Dr. Kingsley Nyako, you're very good friend, Kwadaso MP, he says a message. Judicial independence is fine, but there should be checks and balances. Checks and balances are critical to safeguarding our democracy. What we need is to encourage and ensure that our judges demonstrate virtues that wouldn't compromise the dispensation of justice. No absolute independence nowhere. Kingsley Nyako, MP Kwadaso, he sends that message. Please go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, thank you. This issue about extension of the presidency's tenure, whether it is he can go another term if he had done one before, interrupted, and he comes back, I think the Constitution is clear in that. Everybody understands it, and I don't think that we should be liberal about it. I think there are speculations people are having in their minds. If the Supreme Court is the one to interpret the Constitution and the Supreme Court interprets it, somebody takes it there and they interpret it and says he can't go again, that is it. If the Supreme Court says he can go, that is it, because the Supreme Court is where we all rely on for judgment or for interpretation of issues about the Constitution. I think calling for a Supreme Court branch or whatever office in the North is something very laudable and welcoming. But I would say that let's look at getting the lower courts there, first of all, to work effectively. I can tell you there are districts without courts, or the courts are there and there's no judge. People have to travel very long distances to other districts to be able to get a judge or get a court to take care of their cases and then the rest. So I would urge that the Chief Justice tries to find motivating ways of getting judges to districts that do not have even just circuit courts. I think that is circuit courts. The district courts are circuit courts. Yeah. You have to go to a regional court, to a regional head town before you get a judge there to sit on your case. The travel and then the burden of traveling, the risk of traveling and all that is not very good. So we can bring Supreme Court to the northern sector, which is very good, but let's also ensure that at least we have courts in every district so that people can attend. With regards to the number of judges in the Supreme Court and then the complaints about workload, I think if there's workload, then it is the problem of our lawyers. Let me put this squarely to the lawyers, because it's the lawyers who take the cases to the Supreme Court. Yeah. If the lawyers advise their clients very well, if they advise them very well, they won't get to the Supreme Court.
Especially if they resort to the alternative dispute mechanism.
Yes, they won't get to the Supreme Court, but every case, a lawyer wants to go to Supreme Court. That is why the work there is too much. And so therefore, if the work is too much and the justices are complaining, We are saying we should strengthen the judicial system. They are putting more judges there to strengthen the judicial system. Why are we complaining? We are strengthening it because we want the cases to be run fast. Because we are complaining about time in delivering justice. Some people are suggesting that there should be time limits. I can tell you personally, I had a case that took me 3 years of just a fraud case. I had to travel to Accra more than 8 times just for a single case.
Wow.
If I didn't have money, it means that I couldn't have pursued the case. And I think that the call to fix timelines for some type of cases should actually come to be. And also, lawyers should advise their clients humbly. It's not a matter of trying to, because you make money once you go to the Supreme Court. You make it. If you advise them and they refuse, tell them, look, then this case, I can't take it there. Because you go and they'll throw it out. And we litigate too much. You, the lawyers, we litigate too much. We don't even know who is right now. Sometimes.
Our own very good friend, Samson Ladiayeneni, one of the things he's advocated for a very long time is that why aren't clients ready to take advantage of the ADR, alternative dispute resolution mechanisms? Some of the cases don't necessarily have to end up in court. You can sit as mature, litigants and resolve the issues. You don't need to go to court. Everybody wants to go to court.
Bro, if it falls in
and now Supreme Court judges are telling us that they've been so overwhelmed with the work, with the job, that they need more judges to sit on the bench at the expense of Ghanaians. It's not easy maintaining those judges. Anyway, please go ahead.
If you take your case to alternative dispute resolutions, the lawyers virtually they are losing their income. So therefore, they'll keep you going to the court, keep you going to the court, and then the rest. So let me go to the issue about the capping. After the capping issue, thankfully, we have the Constitutional Review Committee working. I think lawyers and everybody who really think that we should cap the Supreme Court, let's make the proposal to them, let them analyze it. If they finally review it and finish and bring the proposal and we all vote for it, we have voted for it.
But do you think there should be a ceiling?
Whether there should be a ceiling. Once the Constitution hasn't given a ceiling, I can say there should be a ceiling. But if we get a ceiling, we also have a lean Supreme Court. And then we also have to make sure that lawyers also advise. I'm coming back to that again. Okay. Advise their clients that this case, let's not take it there. Let's end the dispute here. Let's end the problem here so that we don't continue litigating. But litigation is very good for lawyers. It's just like a doctor. If you have somebody with chronic disease, he's coming every month to see you, and you get your consultation, your pharmacy get medicine, your lab get medicine. Though it's unfortunate, but litigation is something that if we stop to litigate in this country, then lawyers will not eat, because they won't eat. Yeah. So I think that the burden on the Supreme Court, I put it squarely on the doorsteps of our lawyers, and also because we are a young democracy, people really want to test the laws. Okay. Because of our young democracy, we want to test the laws to see whether actually is that what we understand the law to be, or there's something different about it. So to me, the suggestions to get a Supreme Court in the North, I would very much appreciate it. But I'll call first for them to ensure that we get judges into every district, so that every district can have a court. I tell you, people from Garu have to travel to Bolga almost all the time. To go for cases. It's not good. It's not good.
Just look at the distance.
It's too far. It's too far. Appeals, they have to move from there to go to Tamale, not even in Bolga, for an appeal case to be heard. So I think it's a punishment for some people. We are depriving people of justice. And this one prolongs the cases. And at the end, people think that the courts are not friendly. The courts should be friendly, just like hospitals to people. Yeah.
So Kwame Saponase of the CDD, he's a health... I keep saying that I found out just recently that he's also a PhD holder. He's a doctor, but he doesn't use it. I'll say he doesn't need it. Not like he doesn't need it, but he's not the type of person who likes to blow his trumpet when it comes to his PhD. He doesn't need people calling him Doctor. Right. He wants his job to tell, or his work to speak to his competences and not his title. So he sends us a message, and he says, in this era of ease of communication and decision-making is the provision of another person being sworn in if the president is out of the jurisdiction necessary. So he's asking a question. So I'll come again. It says, in this era of ease of communication and decision-making, is the provision of another person being sworn in if the president is out of the jurisdiction necessary? It comes to the question mark. I think the Constitutional Review must look at this. I find it a relic we can dispense with. Kwame, thanks for that. And so another very good friend of mine, Ugo, he is, Ugo, are you texting us from Nigeria or in Ghana? I'm not sure. He's a lawyer himself, but also a family or relationship, counselor. He says, true independence requires adequate, predictable funding free from political interference, allowing courts to operate without fear or favor, strengthening financial autonomy, safeguards impartiality, and reinforces public trust in the judiciary. And then this one here says that, so Simon from Ebony says, good morning to the panelists, especially my NDC rep, Moro. It's been a long time, bro. With regards to the time wasted at some courts in Ghana, please kindly do a review about the one we have in Qatar. As for a case that should take a month for adjudication, is now over years. Try and open phone calls and see what people go through just to attend to a simple case. The call for expansion of judicious justice delivery will help us. It's me, Simon Yao, our G Assembly member, Abolov Nolopi, Abolove, I believe, Abolove Nolopi. Simon from Ebony sent that message. And let me read this one as my father one before we take leave of you. He said this one a long time ago. I don't know how come it's escaped me. Okay, so Alhaji Suwari, who is a regular viewer of the show, he says, Moro, things are getting better and fast improving the economic domain. Passion Air has reduced domestic airline fares by 10%. In fact, it should be more. What is 10%? Amid CD appreciation, prices are generally coming down. Fitch Ratings has upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating (IDR) to B minus from restricted default (RD). The outlook is stable. It says Dr. Castle Atoba Forcing is going to be the best finance minister in the history of this Fourth Republic. Now, Kofi Adoli says, Kofi Adoli, good morning, my brother. I hope you're doing well. First, they said Mahama should never lead the NDC again. They said he's not good for the NDC. NDC people should select another leader. Guess what? He became the NDC leader. Then they said Mahama can never lead again. They even said Aputo to his leadership of Ghana again. Guess what? He won the greatest electoral victory to become president again. Now they're shaking a three-legged table on which the constitution lies about whether he should do the 2 consecutive terms. Our MP brothers don't want it. Clearly, they should keep probing it. I like it that way. Kofi Adoli, thank you very much for joining us today. Isaac Nyako, sorry, we'll back next week. Next week, Isaac Nyako Boama Nyako is MP for Efia, also a lawyer, and also Dr. Thomas Winsome Anapa, MP for Garu. My name is Awud Boro. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana.
Fifra ye free nyina ye de obedientia de ya fuji ani aduane saasro pintin bi aseda ome de ye di koye mu ne de awie nyina na makuafo mode moso won fifre su ne nya bidio nanso bate aseman Ghana mu a akuafo akoya abo pupo obo wasuo na so da su kache wona san fifre mama mu nyina nya bidie nanso mpuntudwo mu aka akiri pa ekwamben ne befa so ama akuafo fifre ho abanfa so de aban hyehye ne dwumadi ahodo ode bre akuafo no bo wote ase Feed Ghana ye den na nkokọ ketenkete so mfa so ama akuafo so ye den weinti na hyehye dwumadi esrunkwa ya to ne akuafo mo ye de bre original TV and Metro TV so dwumadi bebo akwanya ama mpanyimfo anim de ewa ba fukaye mu akire wadwen ye je akuafo ha no amane akogye mu aye e de afri aba mu mpanyimfo ho enimi ni ehia akuafo nyonko samo honto eda joada enwumre no nso kosi ne no wotwe e original TV so saaso na da yawada enwumre no wotwe kosi no nkono e Metro TV so akuafo mo Ghana akuafo abomode na yempene wo.
Ekwiafomo is sponsored by ACAP Compost. ACAP Compost comes in 3 varieties: ACAP Compost X, ACAP Compost Plus.